All the students shouted that they would enlist for combat and defend the country, but among them, there was only one student who didn't do the same. Nanziying stepped forward and stated he would join the support sector. Everyone was astonished. How could someone with such excellent grades be such a coward? Just 5 minutes ago, the general had announced that 10,000 clans of enemy races had invaded the human continent. The battles had left the cemeteries full. The general held a ceremony to honor those who died in combat. He shouted, "Here are the heroes who fought for the nation, your brothers, sisters, and sons. Will you let their sacrifice be in vain? Enlist, and we will defeat the enemies." Everyone was overcome with emotion, and 99% enlisted. Only one person refused to go to combat. This was so shocking that later, the newspapers covered the story of the young man who refused to fight. While reading the insults online, Nanziying was the only one who knew the truth. In his past life, he fought bravely in the army and was one of the few survivors. After the battle, he joined the strategic war leadership. It was only then, while in command, that he studied deeply and discovered the perfect synergy of talents that can lead to unlimited power potential. He unlocked the 5 talents required, but ran out of time to reach absolute power before every human on the planet was eliminated. If he had discovered this earlier, everything would have been different. Fate wanted to test him, for by some miracle, Nanziying was reborn 10 years before the end of humanity. His 5 talents were dormant inside him. Nanziying knew that the people who went to battle today would not survive, and he couldn't change that. He went to the youth training grounds. Now that everyone had gone to war, there was no one left to use the facility. The women and the elderly were working there to process the captured monsters into food for the soldiers. Nanziying approached them and offered to kill the monsters to help out. The women thanked the young man, but as the protagonist walked away, one of the ladies recognized him. He is that coward who refused to fight alongside the others. The girl from earlier took Nanziying to the holding area for the monsters. The protagonist has a plan. To awaken his talents, he needs to collect monster crystals, and this is the only place in the city where that is possible. The girl was impressed by his courage to help, and also thought he was very handsome. One of the older women approached the girl and started poisoning her mind, saying that the boy is as handsome as he is a coward. He is the infamous Nanziying who refused to fight. Inside the training room, the protagonist was determined. When all the gates opened, the monsters attacked furiously from all sides. Then, with a precise strike, he lands a powerful kick right on the back of the creature's head. As his feet touch the ground, he swiftly extracts the source stones from the fallen monster's body. His talent enhancement mechanism works just as it did before. He knows every level up allows him to tame a new mutant beast. Clutching the item, he affirms that he can endure wounds of this intensity. As long as the blows don't strike his vital points, rapid healing is no problem at all. A creature charges him, but Nanziying meets it head-on, without a flicker of hesitation. Using one monster's body as a springboard, he slices another out of the air, then twists his body to nail a third with a powerful kick. Back on the ground, Nanziying decides to clear out the remaining airborne distractions first. He propels himself skyward, striking down multiple foes as he ascends. Just as he anticipated, his combat efficiency has soared. He surveys the defeated creature's bodies scattered all around him. Suddenly, the undisputed leader emerges before him, the Umbrella Bird Emperor. He immediately recognizes that in his current state, taking down this behemoth will be a monumental challenge. He leaps back, dodging the Emperor's attack, acknowledging that a direct confrontation is simply not an option right now. Mid-air, he twists his body, resolving to focus solely on its weak points. Nanziying charges forward, striking the Emperor without hesitation. But he quickly realizes the monster's durability is far greater than he remembered from his past life. Even so, he pushes forward, delivering yet another fierce blow. Meanwhile, elsewhere, an intercom announces the start of the lunch break. Xiaolu asks Aunt Wang and Sister Li why they aren't heading to the cafeteria. Aunt Wang scoffs, saying she wants to see how long he can keep up this charade. Sister Li bets he'll bolt soon, and Aunt Wang readily agrees, adding they'll tackle him if he tries. Xiaolu, however, doubts an A-level test is that simple. Just then, an announcement blares. Participant Nanziying has completed the first floor of the A-level test. Sister Li gasps, baffled by the speed. Aunt Wang, however, snorts, assuming he simply gave up and couldn't hack it. She decides to check for herself. The moment she turns, she bumps right into someone and promptly lands on her backside, staring up at Nanziying himself. A scoreboard flashes announcing, participant Nanziying has achieved 2,000 kills, setting a new record for the first floor. Aunt Wang sputters, demanding to know how he got into such a state and if he really passed the A-level test. He simply confirms, I passed. Then, Nanziying coolly states that the demon bodies are ready for processing. As he turns to leave, Xiao Liu watches him, her eyes sharp with curiosity. When she turns to organize the processing, she's confronted by an absolutely immense pile of bodies. The progress speed, however, is merely adequate. The experience required for the next level has more than doubled. His data confirms Beast Tamer level 2, making it impossible to reach level 3 on just the first floor. An urgent war report crackles over the intercom. The next offensive wave is about to begin. In his previous life, even 2 powerful skill bearers weren't enough to prevent the 8th defense line from teetering on the brink of collapse. He turns off the shower, resolute. There's no time for rest. He needs to accelerate his preparations and head straight to the tower's 2nd floor. As workers haul away the monster corpses, they murmur amongst themselves. They hadn't expected Nan Ziying to pass, much less believe he'd need a lengthy recovery period. Sister Li concedes that he gave his all. After all, few people ever pass an A-level test. Aunt Wang, however, warns that trying to do everything at once is foolish. The best path is always step by step. They wonder aloud how many days he'll need to recover, even joking that he might never return. They watch him limp down the corridor, fading from view. One of the workers then turns, calling out Nan Ziying's name. Sister Li urges calm, but Aunt Wang's face contorts with utter contempt at his unexpected return. She snarls, demanding to know what else he wants. Nan Ziying simply replies, "I'm heading to the 2nd floor to continue the test." Aunt Wang stares, utterly stunned, then repeats the question, "You actually intend to go to the 2nd floor?" She then demands to know what he's trying to prove, pushing forward with such grievous injuries. Xiao Liu gently advises him to wait until he's fully recovered, warning him that the next floor is crawling with massive, vicious mutant beasts. He thanks her for her concern, but firmly states he prefers to handle this on his own. Indignant, Aunt Wang yells, "If you're so damn capable, you should be on the front lines." Xiao Liu watches him walk away, wondering why he's putting on such a show here of all places. She muses that Mr. Nan doesn't seem like the type to fear death or hide in the rear. Just then, the system announces the start of the A-level test on the 2nd floor. He immediately senses the 2nd floor is vastly different from the first, emanating a far more intense pressure. Nan Ziying deftly dodges the onslaught of attacking creatures. Despite his agility, one beast lands a brutal, direct hit. The force sends him violently slamming backward. He realizes he can't afford to take direct blows. He has no advantage in size or strength, especially not with his current injuries. As he pushes himself up, the beasts seem to mock his battered form. Even so, he declares, "I am not one to charge in unprepared." He then glares at the creatures arrayed before him. A moment later, he leaps clean over one of them. In a single fluid motion, he plunges his blade deep into the monster's back. The creature begins to dissolve, crumbling into dust before his eyes. Since these level 2 mutant beasts are well within his capabilities, he decides to tame them before engaging them directly. He activates his Beast Tamer talent. The creatures are engulfed by a surge of his power. Every single beast kneels subserviently before him. He nods, confident this will be enough to keep them under his complete control. Finally, he decides it's time to keep evolving, aiming to hit the 3rd level in one swift go. 3 days later, in Yi City's training grounds, a worker calls for help from a colleague as they process carcasses. Sister Li urges them to move the meat quickly, citing a lack of space, while Nan Ziying rests nearby. He decides he's done enough for today. His status shows he's reached level 6 Mutant Beast Tamer. In just 3 days, he's culled over 10,000 beasts, and with his taming talent hitting level 6, he can finally venture into the wilderness. Beasts rarely attack the city directly, thanks to the presence of super ability users and firearms, making the wild an incredibly dangerous place. Still, taming them is crucial to his strategy against the 10,000 races. An older worker asks Nan Ziying if they'll need overtime to move another batch, mentioning everyone's eagerness to support the front lines. He stands, declining, explaining he needs to leave early today. As he leaves, Aunt Wang snipes, "Already giving up after a few days, huh?" Another worker defends him, claiming tower progress improved because of him, but she sharply tells him to mind his own business. He retorts, accusing her of being part of the problem herself, nagging Nan Ziying instead of focusing on her own duties. Xiao Liu approaches, informing him the tasks are on schedule and suggesting he take a break. He thanks her for the thought but insists he truly has to go. She agrees, wishing him a good rest. At the city gates, a guard in a vehicle yells for people to clear the way and not block the road. A convoy of military trucks rumbles through the city as an announcement blares, informing citizens that wounded from the front lines need urgent medical attention. Nan Ziying observes the sheer number of injured, deducing the frontline situation must be critical. Some on the street point skyward, shouting as rockets streak across the air. As the projectiles fly, a civilian comments that it looks like they're gaining an advantage. Still, he knows the situation is grim, requiring long-range support, hinting that the defense line's collapse isn't far off. He adjusts his mask and tightens his grip on his blade. Outside the city, he treks through the snow, affirming to himself there's no time to waste. Further ahead, a man in a stalled truck questions why they stopped at such a dangerous hour. The driver replies that the vehicle broke down, leaving them stranded at the worst possible time. A woman suggests abandoning the truck because of the mutant wolves, while another man agrees to grab their gear so they can return together. Suddenly, the group spots a silhouette racing through the snow. Nanziying zips past the convoy at high speed. The woman by the window wonders who would be leaving the city in the dead of night. The man in the truck yells for him to be careful, warning that giant, extremely dangerous mutant wolves are ahead. Inside the vehicle, a young woman warns that the director has been calling repeatedly, as the city hospital is overflowing and urgently needs the medicine. She warns that the area is dangerous and the team is unarmed, but her colleague retorts, saying they've dealt with plenty of unstable types and can't get involved. The driver decides the conversation has gone far enough and prepares to leave. Suddenly, they both look back as outside, a man is attacked and starts screaming for help. Her companion grabs her tightly, yelling for her to drive immediately, warning that a giant steel wolf is right behind them. The young woman grabs a rifle, orders her friend to accelerate, and takes aim. She aims carefully and gives the order to open fire. Hearing the shots, Nanziying realizes they're coming from the herb-gathering team's direction. He quickly notices it's not just an attack on the convoy, but a full-blown ambush by a wolf pack. Given this, he concludes the situation plays right into his hands, saving him some effort. With the rising spiritual energy concentration, beasts have become smarter and more organized. One of the wolves charges directly at the convoy truck. The young woman reloads her weapon as the driver warns her to be careful. She calmly replies, telling her to seize the opportunity and drive while she keeps the wolves at bay. The driver agrees, preparing to accelerate without hesitation. Nanziying faces the pack on a snow-covered cliff. From a higher vantage point, he spots the Wolf King, wondering if the creature is silently observing everything. He then realizes that by dealing with the pack, the medical team might just escape with their lives. The alpha beast charges directly towards him. With the boss appearing, he declares the battle has truly begun and rushes towards the wolves. He positions himself among the bodies of the defeated creatures. Then, he activates his beast tamer talent. The ability unleashes, seeking to awaken and subjugate the surrounding creatures. Intense energy manifests around him. The Wolf King responds with a mighty roar. Their forces collide on the battlefield in an explosive clash. Nanziying begins to subjugate the wolves one by one. He declares his strategy: capture the king to control the entire pack. The creatures look up, surprised by this display of power. Then, he asserts himself, manifesting absolute authority over them. The ability slams into the ground, sending wolves flying. Next, he turns directly to the leader, declaring its domination as the top priority. Nanziying advances towards the Steel Wolf King and uses his ability in an attempt to tame the creature. The mighty wolf fiercely resists the power engulfing it. Still, it slowly begins to yield under the overwhelming pressure. At the same time, the other pack wolves collapse to the ground. Back in the truck, the young woman continues firing at the remaining beasts. She screams for her friend to accelerate and get them out of there as fast as possible. The driver slams the accelerator, trying to leave immediately. However, she realizes the truck refuses to start. Faced with this, her companion declares they're doomed. Outside, two wolves attack the vehicle almost simultaneously. Then the windshield shatters under the violent force of the impact. Soon after, one of the creatures lunges through the broken glass. Suddenly, though, the attacks cease, and the wolves silently surround the truck. One of the young women wonders what's happening and why, all of a sudden, the wolves look almost cute. One of the creatures stares at them with a completely different expression. Right after, the entire pack runs off, away from the convoy. Atop the cliff, Nanziying stands beside the Wolf King, observing the movement below. From atop the truck, the blonde woman realizes the giant mutant wolves have been tamed. Surprised, she wonders what level of tamer could possibly achieve something like this, finding the scene unbelievable. He checks his status: level 7 beast tamer. He decides not to waste precious source stones right now. Mounted on the Wolf King, he orders the pack to disperse until summoned again. Then, he reinforces to the creature that humans are not to be attacked. Nanziying observes the horizon, aware he needs to tame all beasts from the nearby uninhabited areas. For his grand battle plan, he knows he must find a way to gather an army of over 10 million mutant mutant beasts. Furthermore, he recalls that securing a safe path for the medicinal herb gathering team is also crucial. Suddenly, he receives an emergency meeting summons from the factory, making him wonder what the hell happened. In the training grounds of the Ye City branch, a booming voice declared everyone present a complete and utter disappointment. They had hoped that with their accelerated progress, they could alleviate the crushing pressure on the front lines. But an official, flanked by two stern guards, scoffed, claiming they still struggled even against slightly higher-level mutant beasts. The elder mayor tried to explain, saying this was the first time Yi City had dealt with level 4 or higher beasts, and they simply needed time to adapt. The official merely repeated, "Time?" with disdain. He demanded to know if they truly grasped the gravity of the situation. Frontline troops were on the brink of starvation. He bellowed that the mutant beast stockpile in the rear was dwindling, and they needed to start taking down higher-level beasts to support the army. The elder mayor agreed, promising more people from Ye City would be sent soon to continue the task. However, he was cut off. The official stated he'd watched them for half a day and concluded no one here was useful, accusing them of deliberately delaying supplies. He griped that Ye City had been holding back progress, even pointing out that the first deserter had come from this very place. Finally, he sneered that the city lived up to its irresponsible reputation, incapable of handling any real responsibility. An older woman bristled, yelling that her husband and 3 sons died on the front lines, asking how he dared call them irresponsible. Auntie Wang added that they all worked in shifts just to keep the supply schedule, accusing him of devaluing their desperate efforts. The man simply sneered at their complaints. His guard stepped forward, and he questioned if they truly dared disrespect an official. In response, Auntie Wang shot back, "What do you intend to do?" Suddenly, a fist slammed into one of the guard's faces, sending his glasses flying through the air. Nan Ziying appeared, holding the stunned guard, and calmly asked the official not to resort to violence. The workers cheered, celebrating the arrival of Comrade Shounen. The elder mayor wondered what Nan Ziying was doing here, and, more importantly, how he managed to take down a level 5 ability user. The official spun around, demanding to know who he was, then pointed a weapon at Nan Ziying, accusing the Ye City folk of plotting a mutiny. Nan Ziying stared back, a flicker of recognition in his eyes. He knew this man. His memory flashed back to the traitor of his past life, Lin Yukai, famously known as the Supply Line Leech. In that life, this bastard had trafficked military supplies, and now he was clearly eyeing Yi City's processing speed. No wonder Nan Ziying found him here. With that certainty, he decided he had to deal with this official, but not before draining him of all his resources. "There are no rebels here," Nan Ziying declared, stepping forward. "Why point a weapon at people who have sacrificed so much for the war?" Meanwhile, a worker shouted, "What more do you want from us?" The official suddenly realized this situation wouldn't end well. He scrutinized Nan Ziying's face, trying to place why the figure seemed so familiar. After a few tense moments, it clicked. He finally recognized Nan Ziying as the deserter from Ye City, accusing him of hiding here and assaulting a soldier. Nan Ziying simply shrugged. "I don't care," but he warned the official, "If I die, the supply progress that's been accelerating will only get even slower." The elder mayor and the other man gasped, shocked to discover this was Nan Ziying, the legendary slaughterhouse ace. Nan Ziying continued, explaining that high-level beasts could interfere with the human mind. That was the real reason the official came to Ye City. "But I can't help you," he added, "since you plan to kill me." At that moment, the official realized a deserter so familiar with mutant beasts had completely turned the tables on him. From the reactions of the people around them, Nan Ziying's words didn't sound like a lie. The elder mayor decided to observe how this would play out. The official eventually concluded that if Nan Ziying was willing to take on the task, it suited him perfectly. He proposed a military oath. He would send 5,000 level 4 mutant beasts the very next day. He knew level 4 beasts were among the strongest, possessing high defense and powerful mental disturbance. For him, these demons were the perfect material to enhance his Asura talent, while Lin Yukai would do anything for money. His plan was clear. First, slaughter all the beasts, strengthen his own talent, and then eradicate Lin Yukai and his entire network, once and for all. The next day, word quickly spreads. The 5,000 level 4 mutant beasts sent by the officer have arrived. The Ye City branch is summoned for inspection. Lin Yukai, the military supply officer himself, then steps forward to read a military order, assigning logistics soldier Nan Ziying to process all 5,000 level 4 mutant beasts. He states the task must be completed within a week, and Nan Ziying will be under his direct authority. Moments later, Lin Yukai accuses Nan Ziying of insubordination, inciting riots among workers, and attacking an officer. He warns that any delay will result in immediate execution, no higher approval needed. Chillingly, he specifies the execution will be carried out by a firing squad. The surrounding workers react in shock, murmuring about the mention of a firing squad. Lin Yukai then mockingly asks Nan Ziying if he's scared, reminding him how easily he'd agreed to the military order just yesterday. He adds that when the time comes, it will be his personal duty to execute him. Lin Yukai finishes with a smirk, stating he's sure he'll enjoy the process immensely. Nan Ziying, ever composed, simply remarks there's too much talk for a mere messenger. When one of the guards reacts, Lin Yukai cuts him off, commenting they should be more lenient with the dying. The show can begin, he declares. I'll be waiting. One of the men informs them that, unlike lower-level beasts, these high-level creatures require tranquilizer smoke, but the key components have all been sent to field hospitals. Xiao Liu warns Nan Ziying to be extra careful, as there might not be enough doses. The only reply is an acknowledgement that the warning has been noted. As Nan Ziying walks off, someone questions his confidence, given the beasts are capable of mental attacks, speculating he might be a psychic. Lin Yukai's bodyguard reports that the boy showed no reaction to psychic tests, but Lin Yukai dismisses it, preferring to simply await the execution, feigning concern over the creature's overwhelming mental power. He scoffs, "It's a shame. The kid will probably go mad before that, unable to even feel the fear of death approaching." He then complains that the boss is petty, and that trusting a deserter was just a waste of time. Lin Yukai declares that after the boy is executed, all the spoils will be his. However, the bodyguard reminds him he was only sent to supervise, and must know how to report correctly to his superior. He assures Lin Yukai that everything that happens here will be reported truthfully. Meanwhile, Nan Ziying observes that even physically immobilized, the high-level beasts remain mentally formidable. He assesses the situation, and surprisingly admits that it's not bad at all. An illusion manifests before him, leading him to comment on the creature's ability to conjure such vivid images. The illusory figure advances. Soon after, a skeleton descends from above and attacks Nan Ziying. The attack dissipates upon hitting the ground. Nan Ziying reacts immediately, counterattacking the beast, remarking it was a good try, but still just another illusion. He confidently states that as long as they can't control him mentally, they're nothing more than stationary targets. He adds that he still needs more energy to enhance his own talent, then throws down a challenge, demanding they reveal their true abilities. The situation is better now, he declares, even as shadows grip his feet. A voice then whispers, suggesting he's exhausted and should just let everything go. It insists he think of the price he's paid and those who died, causing him to call out for his father. The voices start questioning if it was all worth it, if protecting humanity made any sense, urging him to stop resisting fate. In a seductive tone, the entity invites him to simply take a break. But Nan Ziying stands firm, asserting that his revenge still needs to be completed, and humanity's fate must be decided by humans themselves. The creature questions how he endures such a massive amount of energy and advises him to give up. In response, Nan Ziying explains that by activating his Asura talent, his mental and physical power will drastically increase, and this energy is the fastest shortcut to reach that state. Finally, he commands the energy to become part of his power and activates his Asura talent. Elsewhere, a man grows furious on the phone, pressured over a delayed delivery. He barks orders to his subordinate, telling them to string the other party along. Meanwhile, a woman serves wine to her boss, suggesting he spend more time with her. After all, the end of the world is drawing near. He scoffs, remarking that demand for their products has become urgent, and it's better to make quick money before the prepared mutant beasts are lost. Annoyed, he complains about ambitious subordinates and secret military investigations, calling it all a huge pain in the ass before gulping down his wine. Moments later, he wonders where he could find a stable location to handle high-level mutant beasts, just as his phone rings. Impatiently, he snatches it up, yelling at the caller to speak. The other person begins reporting on the military order at the Ye City branch. He grumbles that those fools are useless as always, questioning if the boy named Nan has been dealt with yet. However, the subordinate informs him they've just returned and the job is practically done in only 4 days. The man on the phone explains that the beasts were level 4, far beyond the city's capabilities, making the boss ask, stunned, if they really finished. The response confirms it. The task involving 5,000 level 4 mutant beasts was completed, and it was all done by Nan Nan Ziying. Hearing this, the boss laughs, asking how the kid is doing. He's told Nan looks exhausted but is in good condition. The boss then orders them to keep the boy under surveillance and to act if he does anything beyond killing beasts. Lin Yukai confirms, still reeling from the task's completion. Another man, likely Lin Yukai, inwardly questions how this was possible. He'd investigated Nan Ziying and was certain the young man possessed no psychic abilities. Suddenly, an information screen flashes, detailing Nan Ziying's talent tree. It shows his current Asura level is 5, and he's unlocked the Alloy Evil Blade ability. Nan Ziying reflects that both his physical and mental strength have increased. Though he hasn't reached level 6 yet, he successfully awakened the first ability of his Asura talent. While receiving care, he concludes that he can now delve deeper into the wilderness to tame higher-level beasts and accelerate his plans. One of the workers praises Comrade Xiaonan for bringing them honor. Otherwise, certain people would have belittled them. Lin Yukai mutters that it was clear they couldn't handle the situation, so they arrogantly decided to use them instead. At that moment, Nan Ziying realizes that the increase in his Asura talent level has also enhanced his perception. That man, he thinks, is an ability user after all. Lin Yukai, fuming, is held back by his bodyguard. He rants about his income being cut off and being insulted, deciding he needs to investigate that boy again. The bodyguard warns him not to forget that as long as they complete their tasks, their superiors don't care about the methods. By acting this way, Lin Yukai is going against the boss's rules. He further states they need to wait until the boss is done using Nan Ziying before they can get rid of him, adding that there's still a lot of residual mental power lingering in the area. At this, Lin Yukai declares, "Enough nonsense," and vows to report personally to the boss when the time is right. Nan Ziying watches the people around him intently. He recognizes this as a psychic ability trick designed to attack his mind, but confidently asserts that they've miscalculated. This, he muses, is the perfect moment to test his Asura talent abilities. Lin Yukai begins to question what's happening, lamenting that he couldn't invade Nan Ziying's mental system. Confused, he wonders why he can't see anything in the absolute darkness, as he should be able to perceive mental entities. A voice calls him, making him spin around. The voice guides him to the side, where he realizes he's surrounded by dense energy. Before him, a condensed mental entity of malevolent energy manifests. Terrified, Lin Yukai shouts, demanding to know how Nan Ziying can possess psychic abilities and have increased his power so much in such a short time. He distinctly remembers investigating everything about him. He screams, "Who the hell are you, really?" The energy hurls him backward. The entity calmly states that it doesn't matter who it is, reminding Lin Yukai that he was the one who decided to spy on its mental world. Lin Yukai comments on the energy's terrifying level and begins to beg for mercy, but the entity simply replies that it will give him a good show. The figure then charges and attacks Lin Yukai. Back in reality, the workers watch the scene in shock. Lin Yukai, now raving, declares that everything there belongs to him and no one should even think about touching his money. He scrambles to his feet, babbling that he was an idiot and could have handled everything himself. The workers whisper amongst themselves, wondering if the leadership pressure is truly so intense, while one woman worries about being held responsible since Lin Yukai couldn't endure just a few sentences. The bodyguard realizes Lin Yukai has been influenced by the residual mental power and has gone completely mad, as the man continues to scream that anyone who touches his money will die. Seeing this, the bodyguard concludes that letting Lin Yukai continue like this will only tarnish the boss's reputation. Without hesitation, he lunges forward and attacks Lin Yukai, swiftly executing him. He then turns to the others, apologizing for the incident and explaining that he had to put Lin Yukai down because he was influenced by the monster's mental power and could have ended up hurting everyone there. The bodyguard comments that Nan Ziying has collapsed and appears to be seriously mentally disturbed. He internally calls the dead official an idiot for getting himself killed that way, and concludes that the boy might no longer be useful, deciding to report back first. He then informs the others that someone will come to take care of the situation, and everyone should continue with their good work. Finally, a notification screen appears, stating that the current Asura level has reached level 6. "Mr. Nan is finally awake!" a worker shouts, and everyone rushes to his side. Still groggy, Nan asks how long he's been out, learning it's been over 2 days. One of the men tells the others to get back to work, then urges Nan to get up and grab a bite. Nan immediately asks if that scumbag Lin Yukai sent more mutant beasts. The man shakes his head, explaining that the front line's military demands have doubled. Worse, the battle at the 9th Defense Line was a total human defeat, forcing a retreat to the 8th. The situation is dire, with their troops utterly outmatched by the 10th 10,000 races mutant monsters. A level 7 ability user barely made it out alive, losing an arm, and a level 6 flame giant made the ultimate sacrifice. Nan Ziying grimly notes to himself that while he knew defeat was coming, this collapse happened far sooner than in his past life. The worker quickly changes the subject, announcing that the higher-ups have declared the deceased officer was under mental manipulation, clearing Ye City of any blame. He adds that what's next is even more critical, prompting Nan Ziying to demand, "What else happened?" Just then, Xiaolu bursts into the room, calling for Mr. Nan! She excitedly reports that everyone, even those out on missions, unanimously voted him as the new chief of Ye City's Judgment Tower branch. She hands him an official appointment letter from HQ. Aunt Wang steps forward saying, "This shows everyone's trust in you. Please take care of us, Chief Nan." Other workers cheer. "Long live, Chief Nan. We'll work our hardest." Xiaolu's expression darkens as she explains the new reality. Their team is halved, but military supply demands have doubled. "How many of us will even last a month without proper food, water, or sleep?" she frets, turning to Nan. "Chief, what's your plan?" Nan Ziying calmly replies that worker efficiency won't change much, so it all comes down to him. "With my abilities," he declares, "I can double our output." He thinks to himself, with this new position, dealing with Lin Yukai after he's drained his resources will be a breeze. Xiaolu still urges him to appeal to command, calling the task impossible, but Nan reassures her, "I've already found a solution." As he rises from his bed, she warns him against reckless stunts, reminding him of the immense pressure and his recent recovery. Nan Ziying, however, faces his team with unwavering confidence. "We can complete this task." And the workers, energized by his resolve, shout, "We trust you, Chief Nan. We'll follow your lead." Just as someone yells for everyone to get back to work, a blur flashes past the doorway, startling the team. Nan instantly realizes that speed isn't human, and certainly not from anyone on his crew. He bolts into the corridor, demanding, "Who's there?" He bursts into an outdoor area, scanning. "Where'd they go?" Suddenly, a cold barrel presses against his head. A voice snarls, "Bold of you to follow me." A woman grabs him from behind, pinning him. "Don't move! Just answer my questions." She wastes no time. "Tell me about Lin Yukai's order. How many are coming in the next batch?" Nan retorts, "You should be asking Lin Yukai and his goons that." She presses harder. "Are you his accomplice? Answer me seriously." Nan Ziying sees her distraction, a window of opportunity. He grabs her arm and instantly activates his Asura talent. She reacts just as fast, blocking his hand, but he's quicker. She fires her weapon, but he intercepts the shot midair. "Who told you I was an accomplice to that scoundrel?" Nan snarls, "You got the wrong person." The woman recoils, asking why he's helping Lin Yukai. Nan clarifies, "I don't help him. I just complete the tasks assigned to Ye City. Technically, he's still our superior." For now, this visibly surprises her. Then, she offers a truce. "Let's join forces to deal with Lin Yukai," she suggests, extending a hand. "I'm Zhang Yuan, from the 8th Defense Line." Nan Ziying pauses, then extends his own hand, only to flat-out reject her offer. Zhang Yuan immediately questioned if he was choosing to be part of the problem. He shot back that Lin Yukai absolutely needed to be stopped, but definitely not now, and especially not with her. Nan Ziying explained that she clearly hadn't considered the full consequences of eliminating Lin Yukai. At that, she demanded to know what he meant. He clarified that in her rush to get rid of him, she was only looking at two options: assassination or an internal expose. Then he pressed, how did she plan to silence everyone involved in an assassination, especially if there was more than one person on the other side? What's more, he reminded her that if the assassination attempt failed, she'd better think long and hard about what would happen to her afterwards. Nan Ziying explained that investigations would drag on forever, and after their recent crushing defeat, any whiff of internal conflict would be interpreted as outright discord. This would inevitably trigger a catastrophic chain reaction, plunging the entire rear guard into utter chaos. Zhang Yuan was speechless for a moment, then finally asked what he thought they should do. He simply declared he'd handle it personally. She reacted immediately, challenging if he really intended to do it all by himself. She told him to stop, reminding him he was just a defector, and not even she could wrangle those bastards. In response, he calmly reminded her they'd just fought, then asked what her chances of beating him now would be. Zhang Yuan recalled his incredible reaction moments earlier, realizing how different everything had been just a week ago. From this, she deduced he'd chosen to remain in logistics specifically to continuously strengthen himself with the incoming mutant beasts. Nan Ziying said he'd already told her everything he could, then advised her not to act rashly, emphasizing that she was an intelligent woman. He then stated he'd personally take care of that conniving scoundrel, Lin Yukai. Zhang Yuan reluctantly agreed to his request, but warned him that success was the only acceptable option. He confirmed their deal, adding that after Lin Yukai was dealt with, he'd depend on her to secure the mutant beasts they needed. She questioned his need for even more beasts, pointing out his current strength wouldn't be considered weak even on the battlefield. She flat out asked if he was plotting something against humanity, demanding to know whose side he was really on. He scoffed that she was overthinking it, affirming that while he was absolutely on humanity's side to expel the 10,000 races, he simply wasn't strong enough yet. Nan Ziying then bid her farewell, declaring he'd said enough and promptly left. She watched him disappear, concluding that despite him being an undeniably unsettling individual, she had no choice but to place her trust in him. A few days later, a disembodied voice announced that Chief Nan had successfully completed the last mission without a hitch, and the next task would once again be assigned to Ye City. As they walked, Xiao Liu reminded the group that last time, someone was seriously injured. However, Nan Ziying swiftly reassured her, affirming she could take on the task. An official commented that Chief Nan was always incredibly straightforward and without a moment's hesitation signed the paperwork. He then acknowledged Nan's undeniable competence, deeming him crucial because he never accepted bribes, unlike other troublemakers who only caused headaches. Excitedly, he celebrated the chance to make a massive fortune, especially since military supply orders had already doubled with the war's relentless advance. He promised that if Nan Ziying performed well in the upcoming tasks, Lin Yukai himself would personally award medals to him and his team. At this, Nan Ziying turned to the group and sharply ordered everyone back to their stations to start working. As the workers furiously moved the massive containers, instructions echoed. Send one batch to the first floor of the testing tower and direct the terrifying level 5 beast to the second. The official commented that Ye City's work atmosphere was remarkably reassuring, and with a nod, bid farewell, promising he wouldn't bother them again. Nan Ziying watched the official stride away, his gaze keenly observing everything he'd accumulated, knowing that every single resource would serve as vital fuel for the enhancement of his talent. He prepared to unleash his powerful ability, the Evil Alloy Blade. He activated its power and surged forward, charging straight into the beasts. With a single, devastating sweep, he sliced down multiple creatures at once. March 20th, Eagle Land's 8th defense line crumbled after a brutal battle, claiming the lives of 800,000 soldiers and 50,000 espers. Amidst the chaos, Nan Ziying unleashed the Alloy Fury Blade in Asura Berserker mode, tearing through a monstrous creature. Just 2 days later, the North Glacier's 8th defense line followed suit, collapsing under the assault. The 10,000 races swarmed in, slaughtering 600,000 more soldiers. But Nan Ziying fought on, wielding the Alloy Dragon Blade and unleashing the Asura Dragon Hunter to confront a colossal beast. March 24th, the South Glacier's 8th defense line faced the terrifying Steel Slaughter race, and 500,000 soldiers were annihilated in a mere hour. Against this overwhelming tide, Nan Ziying unleashed the Alloy Demonic Blade and the Asura Demon Hunter, striking back with all his might. By March 26th, the 8th defense lines of France and Kawasaki Nation crumbled completely in just half an hour. That's when he declared, "Enough is enough." Rising above the monstrous horde, he unleashed the full might of his Asura powers. Nan Ziying had reached peak Asura. Immediately, he activated Hell on Earth mode. He decided it was time to unleash that power against his foes. He lifted his blade, then slammed it into the ground, unleashing a colossal explosion. From atop a pile of pulverized monsters, he surveyed the destruction. The power at max level is exponentially different, he mused. It's on a whole other scale. Then, with a weary sigh, he deactivated Asura mode, collapsing exhausted onto the creature's massive carcass. A grim news report flashed by. Only a few alliances remained, and the minimum recruitment age had been drastically lowered to 16. He frowned. The collapse happened too damn fast. Meanwhile, Aunt Wang looked bewildered. "You finished the task so quickly?" she gasped. An official approached, his eyes wide. "Chief Nan, your efficiency has improved yet again." Satisfied, he then asked, "What official position would you like to take?" Nan Ziying simply replied, "I want him." The official blinked, completely bewildered. He then clarified, "I need you to go to the northern jungle tonight. Bring back a pack of steel wolves to finish the job." The man chuckled. "Chief Nan, your resilience and audacity are truly commendable. I like that." Nan Ziying nodded. "I'll leave Commander Lin to handle it." The official tried to reassure him, but Nan Ziying's eyes glinted. "Try any tricks and I'll end you." Nan Ziying fixed him with a cold stare. With external enemies invading and you acting like a parasite on the home front, you're beyond redemption. Alone in the falling snow, Nan Ziying mused. If his memory served him right, the 10,000 races would soon launch assassination plots. He'd need to be far more discreet. Then, he commanded his pups to summon the nearby wolf packs. Under the eerie glow of the full moon, the wolf packs answered his call. A screen flickered, displaying Nan Ziying's beast tamer status. He noted grimly that the requirements for enhancement were growing exponentially. Meanwhile, 3 vehicles plunged through the desolate, snow-covered landscape. A guard reported to the official, "Sir, we've detected approximately 1,000 mutant wolves ahead." The official grinned, clearly pleased. The official barked, "Advance! Initiate teleportation to the nano cages." He was clearly eager to complete this task and get back home for other activities. Suddenly, a strange noise caught his attention. "What was that?" he demanded. The guard in the front seat squinted, scanning the road more intently. Without warning, their vehicles were swarmed by a literal tide of steel wolves. The official screamed in panic. "How could this happen without any warning? Teleport me out of here, now!" The guard frantically explained, "Sir, the device only works at a minimum distance of 1 kilometer. Our only option is to plow through them." Enraged, the official roared, "Shut up and drive!" The vehicles lurched forward, accelerating into the monstrous pack. Watching from a distance, Nan Ziying smirked. Perfect timing. He noted the full moon high above. Then, he descended the slope, determined to tame some powerful new companions and exterminate these pests all at once. Nan Ziying unleashes the full might of his beast-taming talent, ensnaring the surrounding creatures as his energy engulfs the wolves. A guard notices the packs have halted their advance, immediately suspecting a beast tamer is at work. He suggests they find this hidden master, convinced they could be an invaluable asset. Nan Ziying takes command of 100,000 steel giant wolves, then orders them to obliterate the convoy, leaving no one alive. A guard reports to the officer, "The beast tamer failed, and they're now completely swarmed by a tide of creatures." The officer snarls, demanding they suppress everything immediately with overwhelming firepower. The men in the vehicles open fire on the surrounding wolves, but the creatures are relentless, leaping onto the vehicles and tearing into the soldiers. The guard grabs both the officer and the woman, warning them this place is lethally dangerous. Panicked, he demands they activate the teleportation immediately to get them to safety. But just as they prepare for activation, a wolf lunges at the group. Miraculously, the bodyguard manages to teleport away, leaving 2 wolves to watch the scene unfold. Immediately after, a monstrous 3-headed beast materializes right in front of the guard. He steels himself to face the creatures, boldly declaring they'll soon feel the wrath of a level 5 Esper. He then activates the nanocage teleportation, as another man assists him while even more wolves close in. Realizing the nanocage's limited range, he quickly orders a teleport straight to the ancient city walls, sending them all away in a flash. Upon reaching their destination, a figure emerges from the shadows. "I was waiting," he drawls. "You took longer than expected." The guard demands to know who's there, and everyone looks up at the armed man. The figure reveals himself as Nan Ziying, much to the officer's absolute shock. Lin Yukai immediately questions him. "Were you the beast tamer? Are you here to kill me?" Nan Ziying simply replies, "Bingo." The officer immediately threatens him, but the young man just grins. "Oh, I totally believe you," he sneers. "It's just a shame you won't get that chance." Then he lunges at the bodyguard. Nan Ziying grabs the officer by the neck, who struggles to utter a single name. The bodyguard desperately tries to teleport, vowing to get him out of there. At that very moment, Nan Ziying activates his terrifying skill, Asura Dragon Hunter. He charges forward, directly colliding with the bodyguard's frantic energy. The man panics, realizing he can't use his teleportation. "Are you a high-level Esper?" he screams, just before being utterly engulfed by Nan Ziying's destructive energy. His body crashes to the ground, and he whimpers, begging for his life. Nan Ziying simply replies, "I'm sorry." Then, with a casual flick, he hurls Lin Yukai high into the air as the man screams, "You traitor!" The 3-headed beast immediately charges towards the official, and the creatures descend upon him without an ounce of hesitation. Nan Ziying simply turns his back, bidding Lin Yukai a silent farewell. Meanwhile, at the Super Abilities Research Department, a woman leisurely relaxes in a bathtub, remarking on the incredibly powerful Esper aura emanating from Ye City. Su Leng's eyes snap open. The strange sensations from days ago weren't an illusion. A truly supreme Esper has emerged in that very location. She immediately decides she needs to report this unprecedented event to the department. Nan Ziying declares the coast is clear, telling everyone to come out of hiding. The wolves immediately swarm him, licking him relentlessly as he begs them to stop. One particularly stubborn beast ignores his pleas, persistent in its slobbery affection. Finally, he snaps, ordering them all to settle down and behave. He steps away from the ruined vehicles, muttering that there's nothing left to do about them. Turning to a specific wolf, he praises it for a job well done. He rewards it with a gentle pat on the head, then warns the others to hold their horses. With that, he announces a brand new mission for his loyal pack. They're to head to the northern jungle and hunt down source stones for him. Nanzing stands before his entire pack, bathed in the glow of the full moon. Later, at the Ye City slaughterhouse, Nanzing meets with Zhang Yuan. She reports that Lin Yukai and his crew ran into a beast tide yesterday and were completely wiped out. Naturally, she asks if he was behind it. He casually confirms, reminding her he did say he wanted some mutant wolves. Shocked, Zhang Yuan wonders if he can also control beasts. Nanzing warns her that some secrets are best left unsaid. She then reveals she's already submitted the evidence against Lin Yukai, and his assets will be confiscated soon. A piece of good news Nanzing readily agrees with. Zhang Yuan offers to buy him a celebratory drink, but he declines, citing the impending national crisis. Not really in the mood, but, he adds, if she really wants to show her gratitude, there's another way. Intrigued, she asks what he has in mind. Nanzing proposes transforming this very spot into Ye City's largest slaughterhouse. Zhang Yuan agrees without hesitation, convinced the higher-ups will absolutely love the idea. With the slaughterhouse up and running, he muses, harvesting source stones from mutant animals will be a breeze. He also plans to capture the steel giant wolves and soon unleash millions of beast tides. Just 2 days later, Nanzing's status updates. He's now a level 7 beast tamer in the northern jungle. He dramatically declares that the fate of the world rests on his shoulders, and together they will defend the Blue Star. His rank immediately leaps to level 8 beast tamer, having tamed a staggering 500,000 steel giant wolves in the northern jungle. Next, he finds himself in the White Bone Plains, encountering a massive group of yaks. After a quick scan, he identifies them as level 6 blazing steel yaks and prepares to assert his dominance. Nanzing activates his taming ability and charges headfirst into the herd. Once they're under his control, he commands them to guard the White Bone Plains and diligently collect source stones. Strict orders are given: no harming humans, no attacking cities, and await further instructions. His status updates once more. Still level 8, beast tamer, but now with a grand total of 1 million tamed creatures. His control panel proudly displays his forces now strategically stationed across both the northern jungle and the White Bone Plains. In the treacherous Rift Canyon, Nanzing plots to use his remaining source stones to tame a group of level 7 mutant monkeys. As he observes, he quickly realizes that level 7 beasts possess a far more formidable aura than the wolves and yaks he's encountered so far. Suddenly, one of the monkeys lunges at him with lightning speed. Nanzing barely manages to defend himself from the ferocious assault. He quickly attempts to activate his taming ability on the primate. To his slight relief, he confirms the beasts are still within his taming range. Just then, the rest of the monkey troop swarms him, encircling him from every direction. A sudden, jarring sound rips through the air, forcing him to glance over his shoulder. A projectile shrieks directly towards him. He barely dodges it, weaving out of the way in the nick of time. The enraged monkey roars furiously, realizing Nanzing's taming attempt has failed. Nanzing declared he'd force these beasts into submission before he could even think about taming them. With a fierce roar of Asura Berserker, he charged, his attack shattering the very ground beneath him. Then, activating his beast taming ability at full power, he plunged headfirst into the dark abyss below. It suddenly dawned on Nanzing that booming roar had been the exact reason his previous taming attempt failed. He realized he couldn't waste energy on these small fries. He had to take down the real boss pulling the strings. Just then, a powerful attack rained down from above towards the creatures. Nanzing materialized in its path, intercepting the blow with ease, though he couldn't help but note the impressive, albeit mindless, power behind it. Too bad all that strength isn't backed by an ounce of brains, he scoffed. Suddenly, a new challenger emerged, striking one of the beasts with a powerful side blow. A massive, four-eyed creature watched the unfolding conflict with keen interest. Nanzing, impressed despite himself, conceded, "Not a bad move, I'll give you that." But he quickly added, "Still, you all are severely underestimating this new master." Without a moment's hesitation, he retaliated, slamming another beast against the cliff wall. "Enough hiding," he roared. "Show yourself!" A gigantic creature, shrouded in inky shadows, finally materialized, its voice booming. "It's time for a change in leadership." Nanzing couldn't help but marvel at its sheer imposing size. I'd be on my knees right now, he muttered, if it weren't for my Asura ability keeping me upright under this insane pressure. He quickly deduced that this Monkey King had to be at least level 9, maybe even higher. The colossal creature lunged forward with astonishing speed. One moment, Nan Ziying was facing it. The next, he was inside, its gaping maw. Seriously? He quipped. You actually think you can just eat me? He quickly promised. Well, I won't be an easy meal. Unleashing his Asura Fury Blade, he plunged it deep into the monster's interior, striking the Monkey King's chest directly. The force of the blow sent the gargantuan body reeling backward, launching it clear off the cliff face. It plummeted down, crashing violently against the ground below. Nan Ziying dusted himself off, a smirk playing on his lips. Guess I really need to make it clear who the real boss of this place is, huh? He mused. With that, he activated Asura Hell on Earth mode, unleashing his full, devastating power. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a young girl rubbed her eyes, whining to her older sister, "Are you sure about what you felt? It's past 3 in the morning. I need my beauty sleep to grow, you know." Her sister Su Leng was unfazed. "That intense killing intent couldn't have been a mistake," she stated gravely. "Our superiors want Yes City closely monitored." She then glared at the girl. "And stop calling me older sister." The girl, undeterred, shot back, "Fine, then Auntie." Before their bickering could continue, Su Leng abruptly cut her off. "Something's approaching, get ready! We're tracking it down to the Fisher Canyon, southwest of Yi City." Her partner immediately confirmed the order. With a focused gaze, Chen Kier began to activate her unique ability to track time and the very fabric of the universe. Her eyes glowed, transforming as the powerful technique enveloped her. At that exact moment, Nan Ziying unleashed his signature attack, Hell on Earth. He lunged at the monster, delivering a devastating, full-force blow that sent the creature hurtling backward from the sheer impact. Back at the agency, their tracking machine violently shuddered, nearly knocking Su Leng and Chen Kier off their feet. Su Leng instinctively gripped Chen Kier, her voice urgent. "What did you see?" Still visibly shaken, the young girl stammered, He's a terrifying Asura demon. Had enough fun yet?" Nan Ziying asks, as the colossal ape stands before him, visibly drained. Still, he pushes, "Get up! Fight me again. This time, I won't go easy." In response, the creature slams its massive fist into the ground with a thunderous roar. "What a waste it would be to die like this, with so much fight left in you," Nan Ziying muses. The monkey then extends its own fist, stopping inches from his face, proposing he join its ranks to face the 10,000 races together. Nan Ziying touches the extended fist, a slight smirk playing on his lips, and calls it a good boy. Moments later, he deactivates his Asura mode. Turning to his newly acquired army of 1,000,000 monkeys, he issues his command. "From this day forward, you are all to serve under the Monkey King, protect Rift Canyon, and gather source stones. Absolutely no attacking cities. Await my further instructions." A notification screen instantly pops up, detailing the newly tamed beasts and their territorial distribution. The scene shifts to the Paranormal Investigation and Monitoring Agency. Su Leng leans into Chen Kier. "I felt another energy signature last night, but my tracking skills are still limited." She wonders aloud if those two immensely powerful signatures could possibly belong to the same person. Chen Kier dismisses the thought, reminding her of the mysterious families holding hidden positions in the Eastern Esper rankings. "Perhaps I'm just overthinking it," she concedes. It's time to announce the rankings. A display screen flashes to life, revealing the rankings. In 10th place, a mysterious man in black appears, his Asura ability listed at an unknown level. The very next day, news explodes across the Eastern Alliance. A mysterious figure has secured the 10th spot in the rankings. Online, various users buzz about the new Eastern Asura Esper. Some comment, "I'd rather be an irrational killing machine than turn out like Nan Ziying." Back at the slaughterhouse, Xiao Liu hands Nan Ziying a cloth. "Your phone won't stop ringing, boss." Nan Ziying checks it, reading the devastating news. The Me Country, the Mad Country, and the 8th Defense Line have all fallen. A breaking news report confirms the Eastern Alliance has activated its veteran recall policy, mobilizing for the 5th Defense Line. Nan Ziying's face hardens. This time, defeat is closing in even faster. The recall is happening much sooner than expected. His thoughts drift to his father, and just then, a message arrives, an invitation for dinner at home. Meanwhile, an older man, Nan Ziying's father, apologizes to a reporter. "I've just finished cooking for my family. They're about to arrive. You're welcome to join us." The reporter declines, insisting she only needs a quick interview about the veteran recall. He agrees, preparing himself. What were your thoughts when you signed up for the veteran recall? She probes. It's my duty, his father states, unwavering. There's no question about it. She then asks about his son's refusal to enlist. His father remains silent. Just then, a woman arrives, accompanied by 2 young adults. I found Xiaoying and Xiaoshan at the neighborhood entrance, she announces, then asks her husband, Are you giving an interview? He gestures for them to sit, promising, I'll be right with you. His wife nods. He introduces his family to the reporter. It's rare for us to all gather like this. This is my wife, Qin Shuimei, a factory volunteer. Our daughter, Nan Zixin, is an Esper doctor. And our son, Nan Ziying, works at the slaughterhouse, doing his part to support the front lines. As long as he stays true to his ethics, I support his choices. Nan Ziying listens, head bowed, saying nothing. The reporter then turns her gaze to the young man. Mr. Nan Ziying, what are your thoughts on the fall of the Eastern Alliance's 8th defense line? Stop pressuring him, his father interjects, his voice sharp. He continues, his voice cracking slightly. I was originally assigned to the 6th defense line, but I volunteered for the 7th. My son's work, slaughtering mutant beasts, is an essential contribution to the war effort. Nan Zixin steps forward. I just volunteered as a medical esper for the 7th defense line myself. Even his mother offers, if that's not enough, I'll go in his place. The reporter, embarrassed, quickly apologizes and exits with her crew. Nan Ziying's hand tightens into a fist on the table. He looks up at his father. Dad, he stands, his decision made. I'll go with all of you. His mom asks where he's off to so late, but Nan Ziying quickly explains there's an unforeseen problem at the slaughterhouse. She presses, wondering if it can't wait until after dinner. Before he can reply, his father cuts in, telling her to let him go, reminding her that everyone has their own responsibilities. Without another word, Nan Ziying turns and leaves in silence. The scene shifts to the gloomy, ancient, sunken forests. He races through the trees, telling himself there's still time tonight. With that goal in mind, he decides he'll tame the war elephants. The young man stops in a clearing and yells for whatever is hidden to show itself. A massive, monstrous elephant emerges from the trees. Without hesitation, he lunges forward and delivers a deep gash to the creature's leg. Then, he leaps onto the beast's head, warning it that his time is limited and he has no time for games. Immediately after, he uses his skill to subdue the elephant. Mounted on the now tamed beast, he orders it to warn its comrades. Anyone who opposes will be executed. Another war elephant ambles through the dark forest. Soon, several more war elephants charge through the trees. The creatures visibly flinch with fear and retreat. Nan Ziying then relays his orders to the war elephants. He instructs them to protect the primeval sunken forests. Additionally, he commands them to gather source stones and await further instructions. A status screen pops up revealing he's reached Beast Tamer level 8, with 3 million creatures under his command. Another screen details troop deployment and his formation master status. Nan Ziying remarks that he's finally unlocked the formation tree. Given this, he decides to further accelerate his leveling and return to the slaughterhouse for more source stones. Back at Ye City's slaughterhouse, he walks among the carcasses of the slaughtered beasts. With enough source stones to level up, he resolves to test out his new sword chi formation. The creatures trapped in their cages begin to stir. With eyes closed, he summons 1,000 blades by the power of heaven and earth. Countless energy blades begin to spin around him. Next, he activates the sword chi formation. The formation springs to life, creating an intense whirlwind of energy. Nan Ziying observes that a single level 1 formation is still far too weak. So, he decides to stack 2 sword chi formations, totaling 2,000 blades. He realizes that with formations installed in each workshop, the place will practically run itself. In the second slaughter workshop, he activates 2,000 bloodlust formations. An hour later, a status screen confirms his formation master system has been upgraded to level 2. At daybreak, Nan Ziying gazes at the sky, concluding it's time to bid everyone farewell and head to the front lines. Just then, Xiao Liu arrives at the slaughterhouse, greeting Auntie Wang and Auntie Zhang. They notice the open door, and one comments that he probably came back right after dinner. Auntie Wang blames the reporters for what happened. She explains she spent the entire night arguing with trolls in the news comments section. Her phone displays an article about Nan Ziying's father, followed by countless negative comments about him. Xiaolu reacts, saying they've crossed the line, while the other colleague expresses concern for their boss. Suddenly, Nan Ziying appears, startling all 3 of them. He remarks that he arrived at just the right time, as he needs to hand over a few things to everyone. Xiao Liu stares at him, asking if he's really planning to do that thing she's thinking of. A senior figure approaches, handing Nan Ziying a letter from his father. The words jump off the page. His father and sister are already on their way to the battlefield, sharing the heavy burden of their family's honor and shame. His father knows Nan Ziying is planning something grand, reminding him he's never shied away from a challenge. Then comes the bombshell, the mysterious Asura on the leaderboard, that's Nan Ziying. His father advises him to stand firm, ignore the whispers, and look after his mother, who remains in the city. Nan Ziying finishes the letter, signed with love and respect by Nan Shanshong. His colleagues quickly try to reassure him, insisting he shouldn't overdo it. His work is vital, and those supplies are crucial for the front lines. Auntie Wang even vows to personally silence anyone on the internet who dares badmouth him again. He thanks them all, states he's fine, and then announces he has something important to tell them. The construction of the 5th Reserve Defense Line has been announced, and he intends to apply for the project's chief engineer position. He quickly reassures the group that this won't delay their current work at the slaughterhouse. A convoy of military vehicles rolls past a snow-covered statue on a desolate road. Among the crowd, Nan Ziying watches them pass, affirming to himself that his father's words are etched in his heart. He reflects that going to the battlefield now would change nothing. He'd just kill a few monsters and leave his mother unprotected. Worse, without Xenos providing source stones for his own enhancement, he'd ultimately be powerless to protect anyone. To truly win, he decides to pour all his efforts into the 5th Defense Line, humanity's last hope, vowing not to disappoint his father. 3 days later at the construction site, Chief Engineer Nan is showered with praise for his tireless work. Engineer Lee explains the defense line's steel wall will stand 30 meters tall, 50 meters thick, and stretch for 300 kilometers. Nan Ziying thanks his team but quickly adds that the wall is just a facade. It won't be enough to stop the monsters. The real defense, he reveals, will come from formations. For that, he'll need a ton of source stones, of which he already has 3.5 million. The uninhabited area between Yi City and the defense line proves to be the ideal spot to begin deploying these formations. So, he sets to work, installing 50,000 blazing flame formations across a single kilometer. Under the sun and moon, he then summons a giant elemental. Shortly after, he deploys 50,000 elemental sword chi formations, and finally, orders another 50,000 blazing flame formations stacked every kilometer. Nan Ziying continues stacking tens of thousands of elemental sword chi and blazing flame formations across the entire length. A status screen pops up, revealing his formation master level has risen to 3, with 500,000 formations now deployed. He surveys the landscape ahead, now 10 kilometers covered in layers of level 2 formations. Seeing this, he decides to save his source stones for the second layer. These current formations should be enough to stall lower-level Xenos. With that, he completes the first defensive layer around Yes City, totaling 1,250,000 stacked level 2 formations. The next day, Engineer Lee rushes onto the construction site, clearly agitated, to report a problem. Breathless, he shoves his phone forward, showing news reports labeling the plan ineffective and stating the public is in an uproar. Nan Ziying calms him down, instructing construction to continue as planned. He'll present a new enhancement plan. He reveals the defense line is actually a decoy, designed to lull the Xenos into a false sense of security before they hit the real formations. As he speaks, an idea sparks. How to make the defense line more practical, beyond just deceiving the enemy. Suddenly, a brilliant idea strikes him. Nan Ziying snatches the clipboard from Engineer Lee's hands. Even without having unlocked the command rune element ability, he begins preparing the ground for its future deployment. He instructs the engineer to build 2 moats, a front one filled with water and a rear one brimming with crude oil. The plan? Electrify the wall in water when the Xenos arrive, then ignite the oil to burn them alive. Engineer Lee, utterly thrilled, declares he'll take this brilliant idea straight to City Hall. As the engineer scurries off, Nan Ziying muses that once he unlocks the command rune element, this defense will get way more interesting. With recent kills and the Beast Tide's harvest, he now has enough source stones to level up, reaching level 4. The cities of Wan, Q, and Gan now boast a 45-mile defense line, equipped with 375,000 level 2 formations. A status screen indicates his formation master level is now 4, though the next upgrade is still a while away. Suddenly, Nan Ziying senses a familiar, powerful Xenos aura. At the same time, he detects an equally intense human aura nearby. He looks down, concluding the situation isn't looking good at all. He realizes the Xenos are trying to assassinate one of their own. Deep in the mountains, hidden away, lies the Chu clan. Suddenly, a figure emerges from their secluded retreat, and the resulting explosion devastates the entire surrounding area. Patriarch Chu Changxiong immediately questions why Xinghe left seclusion 2 years ahead of schedule. Chu Xinghe explains he sensed a powerful aura from the northwestern border, an aura that helped him advance his cultivation. The Patriarch finds this strange, as that region is known to be utterly devoid of spiritual energy. Yet Xinghe insists that's precisely why the phenomenon is so significant. Xinghe Xinghe then announces his decision to personally visit the border, despite his master's warnings about Xenos scouts in the area. He leaps into the air, declaring that danger is inevitable in this apocalyptic era. Soon after, he departs, utilizing his domain flight, convinced the journey will be well worth it if he can get some guidance from the expert whose presence he felt. An hour later, he encounters impressive formations and concludes that great masters must be hidden in the northwest. Suddenly, he senses something approaching, a massive winged creature emerging in the night sky under the full moon. Then, a Xenos from Slaughter Unit 3518 attacks him by surprise. Xinghe quickly dodges and counterattacks, launching a projectile at another smaller creature. But one of the Xenos charges again, making the snow-covered ground explode around him. At that instant, he realizes each opponent is a member of an elite unit that has been observing him for some time. A decaying Xenos Colossus detects a level 10 Esper Prodigy and immediately receives the order to exterminate him. The mechanical creature charges forward to attack. Xinghe immediately activates his domain control to counterattack. With the Domain Sword Manifesto, he summons the Blazing Hell's Azure Spirit to strike his enemies, declaring that all who dare invade his territory will face his eternal wrath. Meanwhile, Nanziying reflects that changes in the timeline can directly affect prodigies. He remembers that in the previous timeline, their combined strength ensured 8 more years of war. Now, acutely aware that the Xenos have sent assassins, he decides he won't allow them to fall prematurely. Xinghe's energy blades strike the mechanical Xenos, but the decaying Colossus blocks the attack with its own arm. He admits that facing 2 elite Xenos at the same time is rapidly draining his strength. Suddenly, both creatures attack simultaneously with full force. The impact of the collision hurls all 3 away, devastating the surrounding landscape. Xinghe is thrown back, barely managing to block part of the attack. He clutches a small creature, wondering if his fate is to meet his end in this desolate place. Still, he refuses to accept this outcome, swearing he will take at least one of them down with him. Someone shouts a warning just as one of the Xenos charges forward again. A gigantic explosion erupts on the mountainside, and amidst the smoke, Nanziying emerges, supporting the wounded Xinghe. Recognizing him as the powerful senior whose aura he had sensed, Xinghe stares as Nanziying asks, "Can you still fight?" Even wounded, Xinghe affirms he can, and Nanziying proposes a plan. "You face the Iron Slayer, I'll deal with the decaying Colossus." Xinghe agrees without hesitation, and both charge together against the Xenos. The Colossus detects an Esper of unknown level and immediately issues the order for extermination. Nanziying, however, calmly comments that the Slayer arrived at the perfect time to test his formations. Next, he activates the level 3 Twisted Earth Spike formation, trapping the creature. However, he quickly realizes that a single formation of that level isn't enough against this monstrous enemy. Faced with this, he decides to go all out, stacking 50,000 Earth Spike formations along with 50,000 freezing formations. Ice spikes violently erupt from the ground all around, and the Iron Slayer is directly hit by the freezing attack. A gigantic ice structure erupts from the ground, completely dominating the area, while Xinghe directly confronts the decaying Colossus. Faced with the overwhelming power of these formations, he can only wonder just who is this man and what, after all, could be his true purpose. A man observes the frozen creature, confidently declaring they've succeeded. Nanziying, however, instantly snaps a warning, "Be careful! Don't let your guard down!" True to his word, the creature suddenly breaks free and lunges at the man. Without a moment's hesitation, Nanziying unleashes an attack, activating his power and naming it Asura. The Berserker technique rips through the creature's body, tearing it apart. His companion stares in shock, wondering if Nanziying is the legendary rank 10 Esper Asura. Nanziying stops before the fallen monster, then turns and apologizes to his companion for the delay. He approaches, telling the man not to move, and touches his forehead. A 10-fold amplification formation appears, applying itself over the injured man. As his companion lies on the ground, Nanziying simply tells him to continue fighting. A system warning flashes. The human body cannot withstand more than 10 amplifications. It will result in death. Moments later, the man collapses, and Nanziying cuts off the process. The creature is still stirring, making it too risky to continue in this state. Nanziying decides he has no other choice, then looks up, stunned by what he sees in the sky. Xinghe activates his domain, then uses his sword manifestation to bind the creature. But then, another figure shatters its icy prison and leaps into the air, appearing directly above Nanziying. Nanziying prepares a level 4 lightning barrage formation, overloading it 50,000-fold. Then, he commands the attack to exterminate the monster. The blast strikes the creature, revealing Nanziying's overwhelming combat power. Xinghe kneels in gratitude, declaring his clan forever indebted to Nanzing, but Nanzing merely tells him to rise. Chu Xinghe then probes, questioning if the mysterious Esper Asura is planning something monumental. Nanzing responds that the time isn't right. Xinghe deduces that by positioning these formations, Nanzing intends to transform this location into the ultimate battlefield against the Xenos. Following his line of thought, he asks if Nanzing's surname begins with N. Chu Xinghe explains it wasn't hard to figure out. The Asura class represents pure carnage, and the man mentioned in the news commands a slaughterhouse. He adds that the formations are close to the 5th line of defense, so he won't say any more to avoid detection. He concludes that it's all just intuition and a hunch, asking not to be held responsible if he's wrong. Chu Xinghe admits he's been in reclusion for 10 years. Nanzing simply declares, "You win." Xinghe then offers to lead the Chu clan to the 7th line of defense, buying time for Nanzing's plan. Nanzing reflects on the existence of such extraordinarily intelligent people in the world. He thanks Xinghe but warns him the front lines are extremely dangerous and asks him to promise to survive. Chu Xinghe interrupts, assuring him he understands the situation and will protect everyone on the 7th line of defense. Nanzing remembers his father and younger sister, then asks to be taken to the clan, wanting to gift everyone his amplification formation. Along the way, Chu Xinghe comments that his younger sister possesses teleportation abilities that could be extremely useful. News reports begin to flood in, announcing that Chu Xinghe, the Chu clan's prodigy, and a mysterious formation master have rapidly ascended the Esper rankings. In the streets, people comment that these prodigies are flying directly into war, reaching the front lines long before the veterans. Chu Xinghe leaves his younger sister, Chu Tian, in Nanzing's care. Nanzing observes how tiny she is, then questions if Xinghe is actually asking him to be a babysitter. From a distance, 2 people watch, commenting that while one prodigy fights on the battlefield, the loser Nanzing is just playing with children. Chu Tian uses her power on a lollipop, shattering it into pieces. Moments later, a manhole cover is violently flung into the air right in front of them. Someone screams that 2 ladies fell into the sewer, and Nanzing immediately realizes who's responsible. He then wonders if this girl is really the Chu Tian from the Esper rankings, confirming it's a level 8 spatial ability. Nanzing greets her, realizing that with her help, he'll no longer need a disguise to use his necromancy. Meanwhile, he mentally braces himself for the challenges yet to come. His 4th ability, necromancy, finally awakens, demanding 1,000,000 undead to evolve to the next level. A woman is stunned when she learns Nanzing plans to take over the work of 20 entire cities along the 5th defensive line. She immediately questions how he could possibly handle such an insane workload and the immense distances involved. Nanzing just tells her to relax and get the necessary authorization, which she assures him won't be a problem. He thanks her, bids farewell, and says he still has a lot on his plate. As the woman watches him leave, she wonders why he chose to work in the rear instead of pushing directly to the front lines. Moments later, Nanzing summons Chu Tian to join him, and she readily agrees. He praises her excellent work as she stands proudly beside her powerful summons. Nanzing announces that the invocation is about to begin and instructs Chu Tian to teleport them to the Qin Emperor's mausoleum. Chu Tian activates her teleportation ability without hesitation. However, they both instantly appear in a completely different, dangerous location, surrounded by hostile creatures. Nanzing immediately realizes this isn't the mausoleum at all. She's teleported them to the wrong place. He quickly deduces that her amplified teleportation has a strict 100-kilometer range limit. Suddenly, a marker appears, indicating that this is now the only possible path to the mausoleum. Given their predicament, he quickly tells Chu Tian to find a safe spot. The girl vanishes in an instant, prompting Nanzing to remark that she's even smarter than her own brother. Next, Nanzing activates his powerful necromancy skill. He commands the ancient spirit of the great Qin dynasty to awaken. A massive wave of spiritual energy bursts forth from the ground. Moments later, a colossal, ghostly figure materializes, its voice booming as it demands to know who dares disturb its slumber. Nanzing takes in the imposing presence, considering that perhaps a dialogue is possible. He implores the emperor to lend him his formidable army, but is immediately dismissed as an insolent child. The emperor scoffs, asking if Nanzing truly believes his legendary soldiers exist merely to be commanded by anyone. If he wishes for their service, he must first prove himself worthy. Nanzing unflinchingly accepts the challenge and immediately activates his terrifying Asura mode. The emperor scoffs at his display, boastfully declaring that he himself unified 6 entire realms in his time. The 2 titans then clash in a devastating direct frontal assault. Nanzing declares that true worth can only be forged and revealed through battle. The emperor retorts, branding him an arrogant fool. Nanzing unleashes the powerful Asura technique, Dragon Hunter. The emperor swiftly counters, vowing to show Nanzing what a true dragon hunter looks like. He then summons his ultimate supreme power. He unleashes the devastating 9 dragons' destruction upon Nan Ziying. The young warrior fiercely counters, deploying the Asura technique, Demon Hunter. Recognizing the ancient spirit's overwhelming strength, Nan Ziying unleashes the absolute maximum power of Asura. Immediately afterward, he activates his terrifying ability, Hell on Earth. The Emperor dismisses the attack with a sneer, treating it as nothing more than a childish act. Nan Ziying simply challenges him with a single potent question. To the Emperor's horror, Nan Ziying's technique begins to slowly consume his mighty dragon. The ancient spirit is utterly stunned, questioning how such a feat is even possible. Nan Ziying then kneels respectfully before the Emperor, asking forgiveness from His Majesty. But then, in a swift move, he lunges forward and delivers a direct, decisive strike. The Emperor roars for him to stop, warning that he'll bring the entire mausoleum crashing down on them both. Nan Ziying retracts his weapon, respectfully bowing and thanking His Majesty. The ancient spirit, finally admitting defeat, concedes that it has been dormant for far too many years. But before he'll lend his legendary army, he demands the entire story be told to him first. The Emperor hands Nan Ziying a tiger talisman, explaining that with it, he's bound to protect his descendants. Gripping the artifact, Nan Ziying summons the legendary warriors of Qin. He calls them to defend their homeland, and a colossal energy erupts from the ground, manifesting an entire army. The system screen flashes, 100 million soldiers invoked. Just then, the elemental forbidden spell skill tree finally unlocks, granting Nan Ziying devastating elemental magic whose power grows with every single level. The Emperor warns him about Xenos assassins hunting 2 prodigies in opposite directions. Nan Ziying admits he can't save both alone. Faced with this impossible choice, the Emperor calls upon Wang Jian and Meng Tian. The 2 phantasmal generals appear, instantly ordered to crush the invaders. Nan Ziying then tells His Majesty to head east, while he'll handle the west, shouting for Chu Tian to join him. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Puppet Master Su Chang'e of the Su clan finds himself surrounded by monstrous creatures. He laments his terrible timing as he questions the sudden surge of energy. He unleashes his Collision of 100 Phantoms skill, commanding the monsters to die but is wounded in the process. Still not enough, Su Chang'e curses, ensnaring one beast with his threads. He calmly tells his puppet not to worry, claiming the opponent is a friend who won't hurt her. However, the Xenos attacks without hesitation, brutally demonstrating that there's no mercy, even among its own kind. Seeing the true nature of his foe, he urges his puppet, "Fight! Show them what you're made of." The relentless onslaught continues, striking both Su Chang'e and his puppet. Another monster charges, and he barely dodges before a winged Xenos joins the fray. "A pack of rabid dogs," Su Chang'e snarls, defending himself against their savage blows. He decides, if he's going down, he's taking every single alien bastard with him. A mysterious light then flares in his chest, making him wonder what it means. Just then, Emperor Qin Shi Huang materializes, offering aid on behalf of someone else, and is immediately recognized. The Emperor urges him to finish the fight quickly. Su Chang'e thanks him, though completely bewildered by the situation. Qin Shi Huang then turns to the invaders, threatening his descendants and roars, "No mercy for them!" His phantasmal warriors confirm their Majesty's command, and the spiritual army charges, tearing into the Xenos horde. In a desolate desert west of the Qin mausoleum, Qin Ying desperately tells his sister, Qin Sui, to run at his signal, but she stubbornly refuses. He pleads with her to listen as they both stare down a monstrous horde. With no other choice, Qin Ying activates his plant invocation, summoning a mighty lonewood behemoth before them. He screams for his sister to flee while there's still time, but one of the vile creatures smashes straight through his summoned beast. Qin Ying binds the enemies with a tangle of vines, only to be attacked from behind. The Xenos beast prepares to charge his sister, and in a primal roar, he screams, "How dare you touch my younger sister!" Enraged, he unleashes a choking grip, attacking the monster with unbridled fury. Just then, his sister warns him of danger from above, and as an attack descends, she leaps forward, shielding her brother. Suddenly, Nan Ziying appears on the battlefield, immediately commanding Chu Tian to teleport all the monsters 1 kilometer south. Instantly, everyone reappears in the new location. Nan Ziying orders the siblings to stay still and silent. He then declares he will amplify their powers tenfold. Finally, he instructs them to handle half the monsters once the amplification is complete, while the other half will face the sheer destructive power of his forbidden spells. Nan Ziying unleashes a forbidden lightning spell, overcharging it 100-fold. The devastating attack obliterates the monsters, and his system proudly announces a skill level up. Qin Sui immediately scolds him, "You should have only only taken out half and left the rest for us." Nanziying sheepishly apologizes, admitting he got a little carried away and didn't expect the spell to be that powerful. Qinying points out there are still a few enemies left. The brothers charge forward with a joint vine strike, while Nanziying executes an infernal arm lock. The vines swiftly coil around the remaining monsters, securing them tightly. Nanziying, having witnessed enough of their combat prowess, declares, "I've seen enough from you two. The last enemy is mine." He then prepares another forbidden spell, this time of the earth element. Overcharging it 50 times, a colossal stone arm erupts from the ground. With a simple command to bury it, the earth rises and swallows the creature whole. Chutian observes the entire spectacle from a distance. Qinying turns to his sister. "I thought of a name for that." She nods in agreement. He suggests flipping the heavens, but she counters with earth in chaos. They both realize their ideas aren't exactly in sync. Immediately after, the two siblings kneel, expressing their profound gratitude to Nanziying on behalf of the Qin clan for saving their lives. Nanziying wonders if all ancient clans bow down like this. The siblings in unison offer their very lives to their benefactor, swearing to obey any command without hesitation. Nanziying then asks, "Do you even know who I am?" Both admit they don't, apologizing for not asking his name sooner. He muses that not every prodigy is as sharp as Chu Xinghe. Suddenly, the emperor's voice echoes, remarking that the young man's temperament matches his own, suggesting they could have been great friends. Suchanga arrives with the emperor, asking if this masked figure is the one the emperor spoke of. The spirit confirms it. Suchanga expresses his gratitude for being saved, acknowledging his massive debt to Nanziying. Nanziying then makes two requests. "Take me to your clans and prepare everyone for a collective amplification boost." Suchanga, along with the bewildered siblings, asks, "Amplification? What's that?" Nanziying gives them a practical demonstration, applying a tenfold amplification directly to Suchanga. As Suchanga reels from the effects, Nanziying prepares to reveal something more. Qinying asks what else their benefactor desires, but Nanziying hesitates, contemplating sending them to the front lines. He questions the morality of sending others to war while he remains in the rear. Ultimately, he simply tells them, "Just take good care of yourselves." Suchanga remarks, "You have trouble expressing yourself, don't you?" He presses further, "Why don't you ask for help? Do you see us as a burden? You're trying to play the lone hero in the shadows." Chinsui immediately scolds him for speaking to their benefactor that way, but Nanziying admits he's right. He then instructs them, "Lead your clans to the 7th defensive line and meet me at the 5th when this is all over. That's when I'll reveal my true face." The others accept his orders without hesitation. Nanziying then entrusts the 10 million Qin clan soldiers to the emperor, who understands immediately. Nanziying bows in gratitude to everyone, but they urge him to rise. The emperor then declares, "The blood of emperors runs through your veins and your spirit shall never perish." News reports flood in. While some prodigies lead their clans to the defense lines, others are being systematically slaughtered. Across various regions, desperate groups of people are horrified to learn that humanity's future, the prodigies, are being killed one by one. Nanziying realizes these talents are awakening earlier than they should, but he also understands he can't guarantee everyone's safety. He concludes he must strike at the heart of the problem. Trying to save every single person would be like trying to empty the ocean with a single bucket. Nanziying calls out to Chutian, announcing, "We're heading to the northern desert. There, I'll awaken the 5 great prodigies to draw out every last Xenos assassin." Finally, he declares his ultimate goal. "I plan to capture them all in one fell swoop." Nanziying requests Chutian lead them to the nearby Han tombs. "There," he cries out, demanding the great ancestors of the Han dynasty awaken, for the world needs them once more. He specifically summons Emperor Wu, General Wei Qing, and General Huo Qubing, declaring that all who dare offend Han will face his unholy wrath. The system screen flashes, revealing a horrifying truth. Necromancy now controls 70 million Qin dynasty soldiers and 20 million Han dynasty soldiers. Nanziying wastes no time, ordering the 20 million Han warriors to surge across the northern desert and exterminate every last invader. Colossal energy erupts skyward as Nanziying announces the grand entrance of the 5 prodigies has finally arrived. Without hesitation, he decides to start with Asura, activating Hell on Earth mode to its absolute maximum. Meanwhile, at the Paranormal Investigation and Monitoring Agency, sensors go wild, identifying the presence of the mysterious Asura. One agent gasps, realizing the detected energy is now countless times stronger than before, concluding he must have entered full-blown berserk mode. Nanziying then commands his forces to form ranks, front, rear, and flanks. Suddenly, another powerful figure, a formation master, emerges. He invokes the very power of heaven and earth to shatter the firmament and seal the ground. Simultaneously, he prepares an elemental sword chi, an earth spike formation, and a freezing formation. These intricate formations overlap 1,000,000 times, expanding for 100 miles before they are even deployed. Back at the agency, the agent detects another massive energy wave erupting from the same location. She wonders if this could be the work of the infamous formation master from the Esper rankings. Then, as if things weren't chaotic enough, Dajuan, another man, unleashes raw necromancy, calling forth the great spirits of the Han dynasty. The spectral figures of Emperor Wu, Wei Qing, and Huo Kubing manifest, bellowing orders to annihilate the invaders for the glory of Han. One of the spiritual generals raises his voice, giving the final command to attack. Back at the monitoring center, an agent whirls around in shock, demanding to know what's happening. Her colleague explains that besides Asura and the Formation Master, there's now a necromancy prodigy active in the northern desert. The detected energy signature is stronger than anything ever recorded, shattering the conventional 10-level scale. The agent struggles to classify the sheer power they're witnessing. After a tense moment, she defines it: divine level. Her colleague is utterly stunned, realizing there are 3 divine-level espers in the same location. Without another word, they immediately decide to report to military command. Meanwhile, Nanziying overcharges a forbidden light element spell by 100-fold. An intense, blinding brilliance engulfs the entire region, illuminating the city as if it were midday. A man outside blinks, wondering if dawn has already broken. Another person replies, "It's only 10 at night. Check the news if you want to understand that phenomenon." The news channels are buzzing, reporting on 4 mysterious divine-level prodigies converging in the desert, sparking both amazement and desperate hope among the populace. At the front line of defense, a helicopter crew receives urgent orders to head immediately for the northwest border of the northern desert. An officer warns that the journey will take over an hour, but his superior barks back, demanding they get there as fast as humanly possible. Suddenly, a 5th prodigy unleashes his power. A beast tamer summons an impossible army: 500,000 steel wolves, 500,000 flaming steel yaks, 1,000,000 monkeys, and 1,000,000 war elephants. He then commands all these summoned creatures to gather, forming an unstoppable tide. News of a 5th divine-level Esper, a legendary beast tamer, spreads like wildfire. People everywhere begin connecting the impossible recent events, their minds reeling. At a pharmaceutical factory, Chen Lianyi shows the breaking news to Su Sishan, who immediately recalls the man controlling a pack of wolves in the desert. Meanwhile, at the resource center, Zhang Yuan reads the frantic headlines and instantly links everything to Nanziying. An intense light then erupts over the eastern sea, originating from the Lan clan's estate. Honglin Changdong emerges from the waters, determined to meet a beast tamer of such formidable caliber. At the Zhuge clan's estate, Zhuge Yuan sees the mastery of elemental magic as a rare opportunity and resolves to head straight for the northern desert. Members of the Shangtian, Huang, and Yu clans also mobilize, all converging on the same location. Soon after, the Ku clan joins the surging movement of the other prodigies. Nanziying observes it all, realizing the immense commotion won't just draw in the invaders, but also every ambitious prodigy out there. With a sinister grin, he concludes that everything is finally in place. Now, all that's left is to wait for the Xeno assassins to make their grand entrance. Meanwhile, Huang Xuan of the Huang clan finds himself surrounded by assassins, refusing to die in such a desolate place. He defiantly challenges the filthy creatures, but they suddenly freeze. Huang Xuan is bewildered as his enemies simply turn tail and flee from him. Elsewhere in the desert, Xeno assassins are locked in brutal combat against countless monstrous creatures. A vast army churns under a suffocating cloud of dust, and then Nanziying finally arrives on the battlefield. "The tides of beasts are here," he declares, before ordering his undead and summoned creatures to unleash a full-scale massacre. Nanziying unleashes an Asura rampage, carving through the shadowy creatures surrounding him, but his advance is suddenly halted by one of the automatons. In response, he unleashes the Asura hell on Earth, obliterating the surrounding monsters. Meanwhile, a spirit creature finds itself completely surrounded and overwhelmed by the enemies. Nanziying realizes that both the tides of beasts and the undead spirits become far more formidable under this amplification boost. Even so, he notes that the beasts are still outmatched by the counterattacking Xenos. Likewise, the undead spirits advancing in organized formations are struggling. He concludes that while the battle is thrilling, continuing this way will lead to unnecessary losses. So, Nanziying orders the tides of beasts and undead spirits to follow his precise instructions, crushing the enemy from all sides. He directs the beasts to focus on the steel slayers and the trolls. At the same time, he commands the undead spirits to attack the poisonous ape men and decaying giants. Within the Xenos territory, he announces the activation of the overlapping formation. The technique activates, unleashing an immense pillar of energy. Then, that energy explodes, completely devastating the surrounding area. Nanziying turns to Chutian, asking for her help with the next step. He requests that she immediately teleport him should any Xenos manage to break through the formation and advance towards the city walls. Suddenly, he senses something and twists his body sideways. Chutian reacts instantly, teleporting him away. Nanziying appears in the air, directly above one of the monsters. The creature looks up, staring right at him. He invokes a forbidden wind element spell. He then overloads the technique 50-fold, creating a terrifying tornado of fire. The attack hits the troll dead on, completely disintegrating it. Nanziying celebrates the enemy's fall, telling Chutian, "Next time you can aim a little higher." The effort leaves him breathless for a few moments. Surrounded by even more enemies, he just shrugs, figuring he'll eventually get used to it. Soon after, he prepares to unleash another forbidden spell, a lightning element one, also overloaded 50-fold. Nanziying declares that the prodigies are almost here, and he needs to end this battle fast. Then, he unleashes the forbidden spell known as the Ascending Earth Pursuer. With a 500-fold overload, the burial technique activates, trapping the monster between massive rocks. The rock creature, witnessing this overwhelming power, questions what kind of technique this even is. Even Zhuge Yuan, the prodigy of the Zhuge clan, wonders how someone could manipulate Earth to such an absurd degree. The scene leaves him completely baffled. A violent clash of powers erupts across the battlefield. Then Nanziying activates an amplification formation on the newcomers. Zhuge Yuan writhes under the overwhelming impact of the amplification. Once the amplification was complete, Zhuge Yuan asked to be teleported out and tried to get the senior's name, wanting to thank him personally. As he was being teleported, Nanziying revealed he'd left a message for Zhuge Yuan's group and the military in the North Gobi Desert. The payment for his help? Simple. Follow his instructions. Zhuge Yuan watched the spot where he vanished, concluding the man wasn't ready to reveal his identity just yet. He decided to honor the request and head straight to the North Gobi Desert to check the message. A squadron of military helicopters soon approached a frozen mountainous region. Dijiang's commanding officer questioned if they were even in the right place, demanding to know where the prodigy and the Xenos assassins were. Suddenly, the surrounding rocks began to shift and float. Zhuge Yuan emerged from the rubble, informing the commander that the formation prodigy had buried every single Xenos assassin. The commander immediately asked if he'd found the 5 mystical prodigies. Zhuge Yuan explained he'd only met the formation expert and couldn't even recognize him, adding that the man had vanished right after amplifying their abilities, leaving only a message. One of the younger soldiers pointed to a massive rock, claiming the 5 prodigies' message was carved there. The commander turned to the stone and ordered them to read what was written. As he read the content, his eyes widened. He barked orders. "Photograph this immediately. Summon all high-ranking officers for an emergency meeting." From a distance, Nanziying lamented that it wasn't time to reveal himself yet. He mused that this was the only way to gain the military's full cooperation. Any retribution would be 10 times worse if they knew he'd acted unilaterally. Human nature, he knew, became unpredictable during wartime, and if his identity came to light now, all his efforts would have been for nothing. He then called Chu Tian, ordering them to return to the slaughterhouse. Now that everyone saw him as a coward, it would be difficult to associate him with the prodigies, making it the perfect disguise for a strategist who operates from the shadows. News alerts blared, reporting that prodigies Zhuge Yuan and Xuanyuan Hong were leading their clan members to reinforce the 7th line of defense. During an emergency meeting, one of the leaders informed them that the message had been left by divine-level prodigies and that everyone capable of reinforcing the 7th line of defense had already departed. The commander stood, declaring they were there to discuss the message specifically left for the military, and requested everyone's opinion. Xuanyuan Rulong, the leader of the Xuanyuan clan, immediately declared this wasn't just a message, it was a grand strategy. He interpreted Source of the Volcano as an artificial volcano, Water of the Sky as a colossal channel, and Forest of Steel as a metallic jungle. As for the sky-burning stones, those must refer to a source stone stockpile massive enough to swallow the heavens themselves. General Fang Lin from the second line of defense, observed the carvings and speculated the message was likely etched by the Asura prodigy. General Li Fei from the third line of defense agreed with the analysis, but deemed it madness to stake the nation's fate on a message of unknown origin. At that moment, an older colleague requested to speak for a few moments. Zhuge Chengan, the leader of the Zhuge clan, argued that even if the Asura had left the message, the other prodigies were present. He continued, explaining that the message's demands clearly pointed towards large-scale formations and that the prodigies must have excellent reasons for remaining hidden. Xuanyuan Rulong, visibly animated, rose and declared, "If there was ever a time to bet everything, it's now, when we stand on the brink of collapse." The commander then declared that the 5 divine-level prodigies had eradicated thousands of alien assassins in under an hour. Their destinies, he affirmed, were now irrevocably intertwined. With renewed determination, he declared they would proceed with the plan. An official announcement declared the nation would embark on 4 monumental projects, a move that, to the general population, sounded like absolute suicide. Observing the commencement of the works, Nanxing praised the swift decision and congratulated them for making the right gamble. He added that since they'd placed their faith in him, he wouldn't disappoint them. Engineer Li approached, commenting that the projects bore a striking resemblance to what Chief Engineer Nan had been developing. Just then, one of the workers pointed to a monitor, asking what that massive vortex in the sky was. The engineer turned, alarmed, and reported it was coming from the 7th line of defense. Nanxing reacted instantly to the news. He recognized it. The Xenos' vacuum portal opened 2 years earlier than anticipated. Memories of his father and sister flooded back. Knowing the front lines would be overwhelmed, he realized he needed to find a way to reinforce them, fast. He then summoned 20 million Han Dynasty warriors, ordering them to advance toward the 7th line of defense. Next, he called forth 3 million beast tides to answer his command. Finally, he turned to Chu Tian, asking if there was any way to teleport them, along with the beast tides, directly to the front lines. Chu Tian strained with all her might to initiate the teleportation, blood dripping from her mouth from the sheer intensity. An unknown force pushed down on her, causing her to cough up even more blood. Nanxing gripped her shoulders, calling her name in alarm. He warned her they were over 1,000 kilometers from the defense line, and that she shouldn't force herself if she couldn't manage it. The girl leaned on him for a brief moment. Chu Tian straightened up, her eyes blazing with absolute conviction. "I can do this," she declared. On the battlefield of the 7th defense line, a dimensional rift tears open, and an urgent alert blares, ordering all units to prepare for combat. Commander Wang Lei immediately commands the prodigies to spearhead the assault, demanding everyone hold the line, even if it costs them their lives. A soldier grumbles to his comrade, Nan Shansheng. "Ammo's almost gone. Does it even make sense to keep fighting like this?" Nan Shansheng instantly rebukes him. "Look at the prodigies below." He reminds him of their last near defeat, when the prodigies manifested an army of 10 million undead spirits and snatched an impossible victory from the jaws of despair. The soldier admits he doesn't fear death, but rather the crushing hopelessness of an endless war. He points out that even the prodigies are just flesh and blood. They tire, bleed, and can die too. They both watch the young warriors on the battlefield, mourning the children lost to this brutal place. Nan Shansheng then firmly places a hand on his comrade's shoulder. "That's precisely why we give it our all. We'll cover them with every last bullet, every last breath, and die for them if we must." The other soldier, renewed with conviction, nods sharply. At that very moment, Wang Lei bellows the order, "Attack!" One of the young Qin army warriors charges forward, rallying his comrades to paint the battlefield crimson with enemy blood. Another prodigy unleashes his sword domain, striking the ground with a devastating impact. He then summons a barrage of piercing blades, raining down upon the monsters. The ethereal blades surge forward, annihilating everything in their path. Mounted on his spirit beast, one warrior taunts the enemy. "Come on then, rise, let's fight till the bitter end." An elder warrior unleashes his assault, declaring, "The might of great Qin shall not be defiled." Immediately after, another prodigy conjures Hell's Grip, ensnaring the foes in metallic vines. Xu Xinghe spots the adversaries in the distance and barks, "Troops, open fire!" Artillery unleashes a relentless volley onto the designated targets. The assault slams into the enemy army, triggering a cataclysmic explosion. Nan Shansheng continues to roar fire orders, demanding the soldiers hold the line against the relentless new wave of enemies. The battle rages on the city walls, with hails of projectiles tearing soaring through the air from every direction. Commander Wang Lei's gaze snaps up. What kind of Xeno is that? He wonders, having never witnessed such a creature. A gigantic, chained monstrosity slams down onto the battlefield, crushing the surrounding spirit creatures. One warrior recoils in shock at the creature's immense size, as vast as the city walls themselves. The colossal beast then unleashes a massive beam directly from its gaping maw. Meanwhile, another warrior deftly wields his powers, pulling and ensnaring multiple monsters simultaneously. The spirit of Qin Shi Huang commands Bai Qi to protect Su Chang'e, and Bai Qi immediately affirms. Su Chang'e is thrown back by the impact, but assures everyone he's fine, urging them to aid his majesty instead. Qin Shi Huang then rallies all soldiers to fight by his side and bring down the monstrous creature. The giant monster retaliates with a massive blow, slamming directly into the spirit warriors. The impact strikes them full force, sending ripples of raw energy across the battlefield. With that, the spirits merge, forming a single, colossal warrior. Wang Lei orders the Esper Corps to contain the remaining enemy forces, while the infantry pushes forward against the smaller aliens. From atop the walls, the soldiers swiftly respond to his command. Next, the commander rallies all prodigies to join him in capturing the enemy leader. 200 kilometers from the 7th defense line, a colossal pillar of energy descends from the heavens. The force slams into the ground, a massive explosion erupting amidst the monster army. Nan Ziying turns to Chu Tian, asking if she can still go on. Chu Tian affirms, "Only 200 kilometers left. My brother is there." Su Chang'e requests that Qin Shi Huang lead the undead army to hold back the other aliens, leaving the giant monster to them. The Emperor's spirit agrees, commanding his spectral warriors to follow. Su Chang'e then leaps into the fray, declaring it's his time to shine. Wielding his power, he seizes control of several Xenos, forcing them to grapple onto the giant monster's head for a critical 50 seconds. Meanwhile, one of the prodigies expands his domain, manifesting a colossal sword. The massive attack slams into the battlefield, unleashing pure devastation. Another warrior unleashes metallic alloy vines, blocking the Xenos' advance, while a warrioress encircles them with Banyan's strangling hold. Next, a warrior lunges forward, attacking with blazing Qilin flames. The inferno engulfs the colossal creature, making it burn intensely. Wang Lei declares that while the monster is powerful, it's no match for the combined might of 5 espers. The giant creature is then slammed by a colossal sword, but it roars, retaliating with its own monstrous weapon. Wang Lei screams, warning them not to get distracted, urging them to keep up the assault. The monster looms over them as the warriors brace for the next devastating blow. The creature spins its weapon, creating a terrifying vortex of blades. The deadly vortex surges forward, obliterating everything in its path. Just then, a helicopter screams into view. A voice booms over the comms, telling everyone to get clear, announcing the creature will be blown to Kingdom Come. Chu Xinghe looks up, recognizing the voice instantly. Senior Nan Shanxiong. 3 minutes earlier, Nan Shanxiong had ordered Lao Zhang to man the artillery while he made his move. He'd explained that this wasn't just any alien. They needed to be ready with a mini warhead in case the prodigies failed. There was no other choice, he'd stressed. If the prodigies fell, humanity would fall with them. Lao Zhang, grim-faced, had agreed. Back in the present, Nan Shanxiong pilots the helicopter, confronting the giant aberration head-on. On the ground, Chu Xinghe screams desperately for him to stop. Simultaneously, Wang Lei orders everyone to focus their group control powers. His sacrifice wouldn't be in vain. Inside the helicopter, Nan Shanxiong reflects that the weight of this war now rests squarely on the shoulders of the young. He offers a silent farewell, reaching for the detonation button. Suddenly, a forbidden wood element spell is conjured, materializing a massive wooden dragon. Nan Ziying commands the dragon to snatch the helicopter away. The creature carefully places the vehicle down, a calm voice cutting through the chaos. Nan Shanxiong is stunned within the cockpit. The instant the helicopter lands, he recognizes his own son's voice. The remaining warriors react to the sudden arrival of their savior. Nan Ziying tells Chu Xinghe to look after Chu Tian, then orders him to cut off all satellite communications. Wang Lei immediately questions the order, but Chu Xinghe reassures him, "You'll understand soon enough." Back at the command center, an officer reports complete loss of contact with the 7th line of defense, dispatching a recon team immediately. The commander fears the prodigies are in grave danger, convinced the defense line fell far too quickly. Nan Ziying moves against the monster in an almost imperceptible blur, then unleashes his full power in a single devastating surge. The warriors watch, stunned stunned into absolute silence. His attack collides violently with the giant monster's weapon. Nanziying reveals himself, identifying the enemy as a rank of bloodline Xenoblade Titan. He stares it down, remarking that it's been far too long since their last encounter. Wang Lei wonders if this could be the mysterious Asura everyone talks about. His companion quickly dismisses the idea, pointing out the forbidden magic he just unleashed. The commander then questions if it isn't one of those rare dual-class espers, but the other warrior replies that what they're witnessing is on a completely different level. Confused, Wang Lei asks for clarification, then turns his full attention to the unfolding chaos on the battlefield. A spirit warrior charges into the enemy ranks. The raw energy unleashed by the general sweeps away and annihilates the surrounding monsters. Wang Lei reels from the overwhelming might manifesting before his eyes. As he watches a single warrior laying waste to the battlefield alone, he finally grasps the true meaning of his companion's words. One of the generals roars for the Han Dynasty army to charge alongside him. At the same time, the spirit of Qin Shi Huang bellows, rallying the Qin Dynasty army to fight and not be outmatched. Nanziying leaps into the air, instructing all soldiers and prodigies to seize the chance to fall back and recover. Chu Xinghe concurs with the retreat, affirming he's got this situation handled. The giant creature retaliates with a colossal blow. Nanziying braces for the massive assault. The impact slams into him full force, sending him hurtling backward. He announces the activation of Asura Berserker mode. Then he charges, unleashing a brutal barrage of blows against the gargantuan monster. Asura's dragon and demon hunting techniques are executed in rapid succession. Finally, he unleashes Asura Hell on Earth. The Blade Titan seems obliterated, and one of the warriors comments that they barely scratched it before. Yet he realizes that despite its power, the creature shouldn't have been defeated so easily. Parts of the monster begin regrouping around Nanziying, and someone shouts that it's morphing. The creature takes on a horrifying spherical form, covered in countless eyes. One of the onlookers, alarmed, questions, "What the hell is that?" Nanziying calmly states that now that its final form is revealed, its weak spot will be far easier to pinpoint. Suddenly, he spins around as a gigantic blade cleaves down towards him. In the distance, Nan Shanshong screams a warning to watch out. A swirling vortex of wind begins to form on the spot. Nanziying prepares a 50-fold overloaded forbidden wind spell, invoking a colossal tornado. The tornado surges forward, slamming head-on into the monster's blade. Without a moment's hesitation, he prepares another 50-fold overloaded forbidden lightning spell. Asura's demonic blade materializes around the creature. With a single strike, he cleaves the monster in two. The creature's core makes a desperate attempt to flee. Nanziying intercepts its escape, asking, "Where do you think you're going?" He then prepares yet another forbidden spell, this time of the wood element, and executes the Asura technique once more. Hell on Earth is unleashed directly onto its core. The remaining warriors gaze in utter disbelief as the creature is completely annihilated. Nan Shanshong simply concludes that his son is truly terrifying. He then commands the spirits and beasts to advance in a wide circle, clearing a path so he can deploy intricate formations. Nanziying begins by implanting 1.5 million elemental sword chi formations. These formations spread out across a 30-kilometer radius. Soon after, he orders the tides of beasts to tighten the encirclement even further. Next, he implants another 1.5 million formations of earth spikes, ice barrages, and lightning walls. Nanziying then summons a forbidden earth spell, causing the ground to violently rupture and heave. "From the primordial chaos between heaven and earth," he declares, "the ancients shall rise once more." He follows by activating an amplification formation that encompasses 3 million undead within a 300-kilometer radius. The spirit warriors absorb the formation's immense power. Empowered by this newfound energy, they surge forward to unleash the full might of Yan and Huang. The status screen flashes, Formation Master Level 5. Nanziying comments, "Perfect timing." He then prepares to activate 3 million colossal beast-slaying formations. However, as he analyzes the situation, he realizes he doesn't possess enough source stones. Faced with this, he can't help but wonder if he had, in the end, rushed things a little too much. Nanziying decides it's best to conserve their available resources. With that in mind, he announces a single-target amplification formation designed for the 3 million-strong beast tides. The formation blazes to life in the sky, and creatures on the battlefield begin to transform under its incredible power. With 6 million source stones remaining, he realizes he has enough to arm formations all along the city wall. Nanziying then prepares his ultimate ace in the hole. He activates an amplification formation 50 times more powerful, stretching it 30 kilometers along the wall. Soldiers positioned there feel the raw energy surge through them, exclaiming that their benefactor has unleashed unbelievably powerful powerful formations. Watching from afar, Chu Xinghe remarks that Nan Ziying left a decisive trump card for the 7th defense line, finally understanding who he truly is. He reflects on the irony of humanity, hoping for a god to save them, yet feeling the urge to destroy one when it finally appears. One of his companions explains that Nan Ziying held nothing back precisely because he trusted them on the front lines, asking them to leave the fighting to him. Chu Xinghe warns that there are still 3 hours until dawn, and that time should be used for rest and recovery. Even without any more source stones, Nan Ziying declares he still has enough strength left. He vows that even if he must become an Asura, he will exterminate these aliens. Then, he charges into the enemies in his Asura berserker form. Chu Changqiong watches the battle, expressing immense pride in him. Chu Xinghe agrees, remembering his own life being saved, but questions if calling him a kid isn't a bit much, considering he's a true prodigy. His father asks what else he should call him, then dismisses the question with a hearty laugh. A voice informs them that the patient is merely exhausted, her life not in danger. In the hospital room, Nan Zishan tells Chu Xinghe not to worry and to rest, reminding him he's been awake for 2 days straight. He replies that he knows, and states he's glad his brother isn't wasting time and energy on things like this, for ultimately, it's because they are still too weak. Nan Zishan starts to quote a proverb, but cuts herself off, advising him to do whatever he thinks is best. She then bids him farewell, stating she'll take care of the other wounded, and receives permission to leave. Before leaving, she declares her belief that, deep down, Nan Ziying is grateful to him. Chu Xinghe merely watches her depart, confirming that he knows. Chu Tian finally awakens and calls out for her brother, who emotionally celebrates her return to consciousness. She asks how long she was unconscious and how the battle is going, showing concern for his need for source stones for his abilities. The mention of source stones leaves Chu Xinghe lost in thought. He then asks his sister to wait there, promising to return shortly. Outside, the battle rages on, with Nan Ziying clashing against the creatures on the city wall. He comments, with a hint of relief, that the wave of enemies is almost over after fighting all night long. Then Chu Xinghe appears, announcing that Tian'er is awake and they can leave now. He praises Nan Ziying's arrangements, yet asks him to return to his own battlefield, for that is where humanity's future lies. Nan Ziying promises to buy as much time as possible and vows that everyone will stay alive until they can reunite. Chu Xinghe remarks on how meticulous he is, to which Nan Ziying calmly replies that he does it with pleasure if it brings people peace of mind. Chu Xinghe then thanks him, as Nan Ziying explains that an old soldier asked him to relay a message. The message, from Chu Changqiong, says they'll meet again after the war so he can cook for the rascal. Chu Xinghe then hands him a small card. Nan Ziying looks at the drawing of Nan Zishan on the card, accompanied by the word respect, and calls her a cheeky girl. The scene shifts to a building identified as the slaughterhouse. A panel inside displays 60 million source stones still remaining. Nan Ziying realizes that relying solely on formations is too slow. He needs to tame the next beast tide. He understands that the undead spirits on the front line need replenishment, as the 6th defense line has become useless, and the 7th won't hold out much longer. In a corridor, 2 people discuss the 7th line's signal, which was lost and then returned, now showing dead aliens everywhere. One suggests the place might be haunted, but the other corrects him, calling it a divine haunting, since only the aliens were affected. One of the staff comments that, on top of that, many plants in the northwest have mutated, even the roadside grass has become lush and razor sharp. Other workers agree, claiming they feel as if something has awakened and they now possess infinite energy to work. Nan Ziying concludes that with every portal opened by the aliens, Earth's spiritual energy increases, accelerating the planet's awakening. His colleagues advise him to take care, but he reassures them not to worry, as he's heading home for some rest now. Next, he takes Chu Tian to Meteor Valley, announcing it's time to tame a group of level 7 mutant giant eagles. A storm of eagles erupts in the valley, and a soldier warns of an approaching flock of beasts. The men are attacked, and one orders a retreat, stating they won't be able to defend the valley. One of the giant eagles plunges towards the soldiers. A man charges forward, unleashing his grand flood fist against the creature, but the attack proves useless. He wonders how a level 5 Esper can't even scratch it. Trapped in the eagle's talons, the soldier screams for help, begging anyone nearby. A comrade barks at the others, accusing them of cowardice for abandoning their friend. The monstrous creature prepares to strike at the captured man, who can only wonder what kind of beast this truly is. Just then, Nan Ziying and Chu Tian leap onto the giant eagle, and Nan Ziying begins the process of taming the massive beast. The steel giant eagle is ordered to guard the valley, collect source stones, and most importantly, not attack cities or humans. A status screen flashes, displaying Nan Ziying's beast tamer level and the experience needed for the next. He He realizes another one of his skills is finally nearing its maximum. The soldier recognizes him as the legendary divine-level beast tamer, and, almost forgetting the man's predicament, Nan Ziying orders the eagle to release him. The man is immediately dropped to the ground. But the eagle, in its infinite wisdom, grabs him again and launches him high into the air. Nan Ziying shouts, calling it stupid, demanding to know where his brother is. Furious, he smacks the creature on the head, ordering it to hurry and save the man. The eagle snatches him out of the air, and Nan Ziying asks if his injuries are severe. The grateful man introduces himself as Huang Jia, explaining his companions fled when Nan Ziying first questioned why he was alone. Huang Jia reveals he was sent by the Huang clan from the inner territories to explore and claim the spiritual mountains. He continues, explaining that prodigies from various powerful families are rushing northwest, all aiming to stake their claim on these mountains for cultivation. Nan Ziying realizes the energy surge is due to portals, and he plans to use these very mountains to facilitate the ascension of 1 million people in the northwest. He then instructs Huang Jia to warn the Huang clan. These mountains are his, and no one else is permitted to claim them. Nan Ziying reinforces the threat. It doesn't matter which clan a prodigy belongs to. Anyone who disobeys will be ruthlessly killed. With that, he tosses Huang Jia down the mountain, who readily agrees to deliver the message. A sound from the mountains catches his attention. Could it be Huang Jia's companions? He orders the giant eagle to accompany him and investigate the source of the noise. As they approach, he spots a mutated venomous lizard below. Nan Ziying grins, deeming the situation perfect to tame another tide of beasts. With the Xenos having their behemoths, he'll now have these venomous lizards to balance the odds in battle. A status screen confirms he's tamed 10 million steel giant eagles and 10 million mutated venomous lizards. The lizards are commanded to protect Meteor Valley, gather source stones, and await further instructions, strictly without attacking cities or humans. Nan Ziying notes that everyone else here is dead, dismissing them as disloyal cowards who wouldn't have been much help anyway. Next, he calls Chu Tian to follow him to the Tang Dynasty tombs, and she readily agrees. Nan Ziying invokes the emperors and generals of the Tang Dynasty, an empire that once shook the world, to rise and together expel their enemies. The spirit of Li Yuan, the founding emperor, answers the call. Then, Li Shimin of the Zhenguan era, followed by the reigning empress Wu Zetian, materialize. With them, he summons the spirits of warriors who served the dynasty over the last 300 years, commanding them to awaken. Nan Ziying declares that even though the flying general of Dragon City is gone, no enemy will set foot on his land. His necromancy skill skyrockets to level 6, bringing millions of soldiers from the Qin Han and Tang dynasties under his absolute command. He proposes that the majesties divide their forces across the 3 great mountain ranges, and the spirits readily agree to the strategy. Nan Ziying advises them to try dialogue first if anyone stands in their way, but stresses they must always be ready for war. Meanwhile, Huang clan prodigy Huang Ziyao scoffs at the idea, declaring that spiritual mountains belong to whoever claims them first. Huang Jia attempts to warn his young master, reminding him that Nan Ziying is a divine-level beast tamer and that retreating would be the safest option. But Huang Ziyao dismisses the warning with disdain, proudly announcing himself as a level 10 lightning prodigy who fears nothing. He then positions himself on Tang Modao Mountain, the ideal cultivation spot where the 3 great mountain ranges converge. Huang Ziyao boldly declares that other clans have already recognized his claim, and if that beast tamer dares show his face, he'll make sure he never returns. Suddenly, Nan Ziying appears, repeating the challenge, "You'll make sure I never return?" Huang Ziyao glares, asking if he's the cowardly beast tamer everyone's been whispering about. Huang Jia tries to explain that he had already delivered the message earlier. The young master grabs him, accusing him of dishonoring the Huang clan, and orders him to get out of his sight. Nan Ziying then comments dryly that Huang Jia clearly has more brains than his master. Finally, he questions Huang Ziyao one last time, asking if he truly intends to ignore the greater good for selfish gain by claiming this mountain. Huang Ziyao boasts, declaring he's no ordinary prodigy, but someone who's already reached the half-sovereign king realm. He then offers Nan Ziying a chance to survive, but only if he retreats immediately. Ziyao claims every beast on this mountain has either bowed before him or fled with their tails tucked between their legs. Nan Ziying warns him, "Keep being stubborn and don't blame me for what happens next." Sensing the power emanating from Nan Ziying, Huang Ziyao is stunned, questioning how a mere beast tamer could wield lightning. Nan Ziying simply declares the conversation has gone on too long and unleashes his lightning blade. "Young master, watch out!" Huang Jia screams. However, Huang Xiao yanks him forward, using his own loyal servant as a human shield to block the attack. Nan Ziying glares, questioning in a cold voice what kind of despicable prodigy he is, worse than any animal. Huang Xiao merely scoffs, declaring that servants are nothing but pawns, sacrifices meant to shield him. Enraged by such callousness, Nan Ziying decides to show him what true lightning looks like, beginning to prepare a celestial strike. The prodigy provokes him, asking if he's scared and about to beg for his life, warning that it's already too late. Nan Ziying retorts that he won't even use his blade, so as not to be accused of bullying, but promises to teach that arrogant scum a harsh lesson. He swears to make Xiao taste his own venom. Huang Xiao boldly proclaims himself the embodiment of lightning, claiming his opponent's tricks mean nothing to him, though a flicker of doubt betrays his voice. In that instant, Nan Ziying prepares a forbidden lightning element spell and activates it at maximum potency. Huang Xiao is utterly shocked, realizing he's facing forbidden magic. The attack strikes him head-on and he screams, "That's impossible!" Nan Ziying warns him that now he'll learn what it means to be on the receiving end. He then slams Xiao to the ground, asserting that Huang Xiao is nothing compared to his level 2 power. Suddenly, a new voice announces itself as Huang Jutian, the patriarch of the Huang family. The patriarch demands to know who dares cause trouble on his mountains, while Nan Ziying internally wonders if the Huang family truly wishes to be exterminated. As more clan members arrive, Huang Jutian reprimands his prodigy, saying the situation should have been a blessing. One of the men questions why their young master was harmed. However, the patriarch wisely deduces that his own son must have claimed the mountain first and refused to yield. He states that the Huang family has always been reasonable and allows Nan Ziying to speak first, reserving the right to kill him if he's in the wrong. Nan Ziying commends the patriarch's stance and agrees to explain everything clearly. He then reveals himself as one of the 5 god-tier prodigies of the Northwest, the Forbidden Spellcaster. The onlookers immediately recognize him from the news about the prodigies who eradicated the Xeno assassins. Nan Ziying explains that to ensure humanity's survival, all spiritual mountains must be surrendered to the grand plan, and the prodigy had already been duly warned. The patriarch agrees, admitting that Xiao was indeed in the wrong. However, Xiao's father erupts in fury, accusing the patriarch of cowardice and swearing to avenge his son, even if it costs him his own life. The patriarch severely reprimands him for such insolence. He then attacks, blaming the man for spoiling Xiao and for all the reckless actions that led to this outcome. As some try to protest, the patriarch silences them, questioning if they truly comprehend what's at stake for humanity and reminding everyone of their true purpose. He quickly apologizes to Nan Ziying, affirming that his family made a mistake and will retreat, an act of righteousness that earns him praise. The patriarch then orders the man to be tied up and taken for punishment, while Nan Ziying promises to strengthen the Huang family when they join the battle. On Dragon Mountain, spirits announce that the 5 prodigies have decreed the mountain cannot be privately claimed. On Hua Mountain, the warning is direct. Those who ignore the greater good and refuse to listen will be mercilessly slain. Meanwhile, on Kunlun Mountain, spirits observe an ancient monument, commenting that their descendants prove wise and just. At the peak of Tangmodao Mountain, Nan Ziying declares it's time to begin. He then activates the level 6 undead spirit resonance. Energy spreads rapidly, as verses about the Emperor's wind and victory echo through the mountains. The song continues, narrating the passage of the mighty Qin and the purification of the Yellow River. Soon after, the power of heaven sweeps through Jade Gate Pass as the spirits maintain their uninterrupted chant. The Emperor's wind blows across the 4 seas, and for 1,000 years of virtue, the waters flow brightly, reaching even a distant hospital. In a hospital bed, a man wonders where this triumphant march of Wang Qin comes from, feeling a sudden surge of power course through his body. At the rear defense line, a soldier questions if he's awakened some kind of superpower, while another effortlessly carries steel beams as if they were toys. In another room, a group of people confirm that it's real, and they've all awakened new abilities. One man feels strong enough to lift an alloy blade and hunt mutant birds, while his companion confirms he's also become more powerful. Even an older gentleman lifts a pile of rocks and proudly declares that he's finally become a little useful. A man is celebrating wildly in the streets, hailing the news of 8 million awakenings as a divine blessing. Everyone has the power to join the 5th line of defense. Another citizen chimes in, noting that even without enlisting, overall productivity will skyrocket. Meanwhile, the news flashes a grim warning about dangerous mutations spreading through the primeval woods. Chu Tian turns to Nan Ziying, asking if he orchestrated this mutation. Nan Ziying denies it, explaining that the cause lies with the Xenos' dimensional rifts, stressing the urgent need for action. With that, Nan Ziying decides to personally investigate the massive changes in the primeval woods. Chu Tian readily agrees, already preparing for their teleportation. Upon arrival, they discover the trees haven't just mutated, they're moving, marching menacingly towards the city. A wood elementalist named Li, refusing to retreat before understanding the tree's combat strength and tactics, prepares to strike. He unleashes a volley of vines to ensnare the creature's roots. But his attack proves utterly useless against one of the gigantic trees. Realizing the futility, he understands he can't control these new life forms. The creatures reveal not only their own consciousness, but also coordination, moving to encircle the group. Li screams for everyone to prepare for the imminent assault and unleash their full power. He then dubs the enemy the Forest Legion and orders them to advance. The group's attack proves useless. One man realizes these trees are level 7 or 8, impossible to stop with their current resources. Still, Li insists they must at least send word back. On the verge of being crushed, one man wonders if this is truly the end. Just then, Li and his companions notice the trees aren't attacking them. Confused, he watches as one of the creatures actually bows before them. Nan Ziying then commands the Ironwood behemoths to defend the woods, and the creatures immediately obey. With this, his beast tamer skill hits level 10, totaling 100 million tamed beasts. He unlocks a new ability called Aura of the King, capable of subjugating beasts with the very aura of the beast god. The Ancestral Awakening ability is also unleashed, allowing him to summon the progenitor of a beast tide. On top of that, he gains access to the forbidden spell, Storm of Life, which manifests from the convergence of both land and sea beast tides. With his abilities nearing their peak, Nan Ziying plans to tame marine beasts and finalize the formations for the 5th line of defense. Just then, Chu Tian rushes over, terrified to see him collapse to the ground. She quickly catches him and teleports them both back to the slaughterhouse dormitory. Nan Ziying awakens, disoriented, in his room as Chu Tian explains he'd lost consciousness back in the primeval woods. Irritated, he grumbles about being unconscious for an entire day. She calms him, reminding him he'd barely slept with everything he'd been doing. Chu Tian emphasizes that no matter how strong he is, he's still human. Nan Ziying silently agrees, reflecting that humanity, in the end, is still too weak. She asks if he ever gets tired of carrying the world's weight, feeling useless for not being able to help him. Nan Ziying apologizes for worrying her and reassures her, explaining he's not alone. Millions of people stand by his side. He then asserts that she's helped him more than she realizes, and he never would have gotten this far without her support. Chu Tian decides to stop worrying and offers to take him to the 5th line of defense. At the defensive line, 10 million flame and elemental sword formations stretch for 200 kilometers. She asks if all the source stones she teleported from previous locations will be enough. Nan Ziying confirms the quantity is more than enough to fortify the entire defense line. Then he activates millions of ice and lightning bombardment formations, each covering an additional 300 kilometers. The lightning formations spread across the snow-covered mountains. A status screen reveals his formation master skill has reached level 7, unlocking powerful new techniques. Nan Ziying declares the wall of formations complete, stating he'll save the remaining source stones for when the defense line eventually falters. A breaking news report announces the completion of a massive canal project in the northwest, sparking public outrage over the huge expenditure of resources. In the city, as the Zhao family reacts with incredulity, Sun Li publicly accuses the northwest of corruption and vows to dismantle their 3 grand projects. Brother Zhao then suggests broadcasting everything live, so the nation can witness what he calls an act of justice. The others readily agree. Another report reveals that prodigies from the interior, already at the peak Sovereign King level, have finally stepped forward to question the Northwest projects. Nan Ziying declares the time has come to unleash a forbidden spell and create the most terrifying extermination field humanity has ever witnessed. He then prepares to conjure a level 5 forbidden water element spell. The attack is named the Water Dragon Assault. The technique is then activated over the ocean. Slowly, the water shapes itself, forming an immense dragon that rises before them. Nan Ziying commands his water dragon forward, but he's not one to back down. Activating Asura mode, he rockets straight at the beast. Just barely defending against the imminent strike, the young master retaliates with a forbidden water spell, splitting the colossal wave in two. Realizing the technique nearly breached his defenses, he decides to go all out, merging his power with the Grand Canal itself. He unleashes a level 5 forbidden water spell, now with 500 times its original might. A system window flashes into existence, detailing his elemental forbidden spellcaster ability. Meanwhile, 2 men gaze upon this absurd display of power. One declares the Grand Canal livestream has begun. Brother Zhao wastes no time, firing up the broadcast and dramatically announcing it's time to give the people what they crave. He informs Chen Bing and Brother Sun that he's taking point on the channel, but Chen Bing quickly volunteers for the first project, until Nanzing abruptly interrupts them. The newcomer unleashes a scorching fire attack, vaporizing the water and catching Brother Sun completely off guard. Without a moment's hesitation, Nanzing prepares 2 more devastating strikes, aiming to reverse the currents and flood the entire mountain. Across the live stream, viewers are in awe, exclaiming how utterly epic the power of these sovereign king-level prodigies truly is. Back at Fangmo Mountain, 2 individuals sense the energy of the undead spirits growing ever more intense. Chu Tian wonders if the awakening city dwellers will also grow stronger, and the answer is a resounding yes. She then points to the sky, asking about 4 shooting stars that just made an impossible turn in the air. Feeling that familiar, chilling aura, Nanzing instantly recognizes the presence of a rank A Xeno. Have they sent more assassins? He wonders aloud. Simultaneously, he notices the canal's water spells starting to spiral out of control. Have those aliens discovered his plan? Concluding there's no point in hiding anymore, he activates the canal's forbidden spell to supercharge his water dragon's attack. At the Grand Canal, Brother Zhao is still scoffing at their mission, calling it mere child's play. But suddenly he notices something very strange happening. The water itself is starting to twist and churn. Terrified, he stammers, "What in the world is emerging from the surface?" Before anyone can react, a multitude of water dragons burst forth simultaneously, sending someone screaming for everyone to run. The live stream screen is completely engulfed by water, leaving the bewildered viewers utterly confused by what just unfolded. In utter shock, Brother Zhao slowly raises his gaze. A colossal, shadowy figure looms from the depths, while one of his companions frantically begs for help. Brother Sun, collapsed on the ground, stares up at Brother Zhao and whispers, "Are you one of them?" An alien? Raising a hand, Nanzing commands them all to halt. He demands to know who they are and why they're causing such devastation. But Brother Zhao just starts to introduce himself. Impatient, Nanzing cuts him off, dismissing them as ignorant fools. Finally, Brother Sun speaks up, explaining that seeing him there, they finally grasp the full situation. The young master realizes these are indeed prodigies and that the aliens are hunting their clans. He barks an order, "Take me to them now." The 3 men are utterly bewildered by the sudden demand. Seeing their hesitation, he snaps, "Hurry! If you delay, your clans will be exterminated." The mere mention of that word, exterminated, sends a chilling wave of shock through the trio. That night, a colossal explosion tears through the sky above Skycrest Mountain, illuminating the entire landscape in a terrifying glow. Brother Zhao finds his home engulfed in flames, plummeting into despair as he realizes his entire family has been massacred. Nanzing arrives moments later, confirming it was the work of a rank A Xeno. Without mincing words, he declares there's no time for mourning. "If you want revenge," he states, "follow me to the Qian family estate." However, another explosion already rips through the Qian family's compound, forcing him to immediately change course towards the Sun family. At Jade Pass Mountain, a horrifying Xeno assaults the Sun family estate with a powerful energy blast. Fueled by pure fury, Brother Sun slams into the creature, screaming that it will pay for exterminating his family. The Sun clan leader, wreathed in roaring flames, announces he's dragging this alien straight to hell with him through a devastating self-detonation. He hurls himself at the Xeno amidst a colossal explosion as someone cries out for their leader. On the ground, the remaining group curses the alien, swearing it won't escape unpunished. Yet the creature simply hovers in the air, mocking them. Humans are small, weak, and utterly impotent, nothing more than walking corpses. Faced with this arrogance, Nanzing steps forward, unsheathing his sword. He declares, "Today, you'll learn exactly what humans are truly capable of." Nanzing unleashes an army-slaying slash, followed by a land-splitting mountain and then an annihilation fire. The Xeno takes a direct hit, shedding a few feathers from the impact. The overwhelming force of the attack sends the creature hurtling backward. He barks at the 3 injured men to back off and simply watch, giving the enemy no room to react. Nanzing follows up with an Asura's freefall massacre, striking them head-on. He maintains the pressure, unleashing the Asura Berserker technique. The young man charges forward without hesitation, delivering a relentless flurry of blows. Witnessing this, the 3 men realize they might still have a shot at revenge, recognizing him as the Asura of the Northwest. Under pressure, the Xeno begins charging a fiery counterattack. However, just as it's about to unleash the attack, someone teleports right beside the creature. Chu Tian appears behind the foe, striking it and instantly earning a compliment for a job well done. Seizing the opening, Nanzing charges in with the Asura, Demon Hunter technique. Surprised, the Xeno admits the guy isn't half bad. Then, it declares him worthy not of death, but of slavery. Hearing this, Nanzing scoffs, vowing to make it swallow those words. Without wasting a second, he unleashes the Asura Dragon Slayer technique. A dragon charges the Xeno as the young man dares it to try healing after being torn to shreds. The creature transforms, blocking the attack, and calls humans ignorant and arrogant. Then, the Xeno simply orders him to die. Refusing to back down, Nanzing charges again, counterattacking with the Asura, Hell on Earth technique. A devastating slash is unleashed, but the enemy claims it's all useless as long as its spark still exists. In response, the young man conjures a freezing formation with 50,000 times more power. Ignoring the spark, he completely freezes the creature solid. The other men watch, aghast, realizing the blazing sky eagle has been frozen, and that the Asura is also a master of formations. Next, Nanzing activates a 10 times stronger single-target amplification. Energy streams from his eyes directly into the trios. Hovering in the air, he explains that the ice will only hold the creature for a limited time. Then, he urges the three to seize this chance and take their revenge with their own hands. Furthermore, he instructs them to head to the 5th defensive line and prepare for war after their vengeance. Finally, he warns them that an even greater enemy of humanity awaits them there. Soon after, a news report announces that 4 Class A Xeno assassins have been sighted, and that the Zhao, Qian, Sun Sen, and Wang clans have been wiped out. People buzz about the aliens' brutal attack on the most promising young talents, placing their hopes in the Northwest's prodigies. Meanwhile, Nanzing tells Chu Tian they'll gather source stones and head for the East Sea to tame beasts and eliminate the assassins. Facing the sea, the young man begins to chant, invoking the sun, moon, and starry heavens. He then commands the mighty sea beasts to submit to his decree and serve him. Above the turbulent ocean waters, a colossal symbol begins to form. Moments later, a system notification announces that millions of mutant swordfish, tiger sharks, and great white sharks have been tamed. Answering the call, gigantic marine beasts emerge from the depths. With a sky-shattering roar, Nanzing summons the whetstones of these creatures. From the seabed, an immense, sharp object rises, creating a powerful whirlpool. The colossal, horn-shaped structure fully emerges from the waters. Seeing this, he admits even he wouldn't escape easily, but Chu Tian remarks that the real question is whether the assassins will show up. In the distance, Lan Changkong, prodigy of the East Sea's land family, spots the frenzied marine beasts. Without hesitation, he orders his entire clan to prepare for battle, while he presses on ahead to investigate. He then dashes across the waters, using his water control technique, Dragon's March. Firmly, he declares that his family has guarded the sea for generations, and won't allow the marine beasts to cause destruction. However, he soon realizes what's truly happening beneath the surface. In no time, he discovers he's surrounded by an army of diverse marine beast species. At this, Chu Tian asks if Nanzing forgot to order them not to attack humans. As the command is adjusted to target only invaders, Lan Changkong senses the change, wondering if this is the prodigy of the Northwest. He then looks up and sees 3 shadowy figures appearing in the sky. Finally, the creatures introduce themselves as the Sea Masters, offering him only 2 choices: slavery or death. Lan Changkong wonders if assassins are after him, mistaking him for the legendary beast tamer. A gigantic sea creature charges directly at him, but he defiantly challenges his enemies, deeming it an honor to fight those who dare face a divine-level tamer. Orcas surge towards a sea serpent, and realizing the beast tides are attacking first, he starts to question if the true tamer is commanding everything from afar. Meanwhile, Nanzing commands the swordfish to attack the Cyclops demonic turtle, while tiger sharks take on the thorny serpent. Simultaneously, great white sharks are ordered to tear apart the glacial dragon. Surrounded by the great whites, the glacial dragon sneers, calling them mere insects, and retaliates with a chilling, freezing breath. The attack is so indiscriminate that both the thorny serpent and the surrounding sharks are completely frozen solid. Even then, the resilient thorny serpent quickly recovers, still managing to insult its opponents, sneering, "Insects!" Immediately after, it unleashes a barrage of gigantic stingers. Across the chaotic battlefield, the Cyclops turtle deems the swordfish's attacks futile. Without delay, unleashes its devastating collapse attack. Observing the chaos, Nanzing remarks to Chu Tian that their sea beasts can easily handle any enemy below rank A. However, she adds that against a rank A opponent, they're still not enough. With that, the duo creates 50 amplification formations, stretching them over 700 nautical miles. From a distance, Lan Changkong notices the immense energy spreading and wonders what it could be. Meanwhile, the three shadowy creatures slice through the sea of beasts, heading straight for him. Preparing for the impending clash, he vows to fight until his last breath. One of the creatures taunts him, challenging him to freeze it before it reaches him. In response, the glacial dragon attacks Lan Changkong's water dragon. The impact makes it clear. The enemy's power is so immense that not even his water dragon can contain it. Blasted back by the force of the blow, he begins to fall, the creature closing in as he loses his footing. Suddenly, an enchantment circle flares to life on the water's surface. The shadowy serpent is swarmed by sharks erupting from the sea, and moments later, one latches onto the glacial dragon's neck. Energy surges towards Lan Changkong as he finds himself surrounded by the sharks. Recognizing the amplification formation, he instantly prepares his water control technique, then unleashes the endless ocean technique. The glacial dragon takes a direct hit, utterly baffled by what's unfolding, and disintegrates, its dying breath still a sneer. Insects. Shortly after, the thorny serpent and the cyclops demonic turtle are also neutralized. Satisfied, Nanziying remarks that their battle strength has now reached optimal levels, with Chu Tian concurring that not even a rank S alien would survive this. He then asks her to bring Lan Changkong, and her reply comes with a knowing tone, stating she already understands his intentions. From a distance, Lan Changkong profusely thanks his saviors for sparing his life. Finally, he asks them to reveal themselves so he can thank them in person. Chu Tian appears before him, leaving Lan Changkong utterly shocked to discover that one of the legendary masters is just a child. The small girl gazes at him with a slight smile. As he's dragged along, the man asks who she is. Just then, Nanziying appears, telling him not to ask questions, but to listen carefully. She then asks Lan Changkong if he could shoulder the immense responsibility of using the East Sea as bait to draw out the alien assassins. Without hesitation, the man kneels, declaring that for the sake of the world, he would willingly lay down his life if needed. At this, Chu Tian grants him the power of an internal amplification formation. Immediately after, she places him in command of 100 million sea beasts, ordering him to annihilate any alien that dares to appear. Suddenly, a vacuum gate rips open in the sky, and Chu Tian warns that the 7th line of defense might not hold. Overcome with despair, she thinks of her brother and all the others. Countless alien horrors burst forth from a sky-ripping portal. An officer screams a warning. The enemy's main force is here. He orders the 7th line to fall back while the 6th attempts to buy precious time. Chu Xinghe seizes command, overriding all previous orders. All units, full retreat. Their only stand, their last hope, is the 5th line of defense. Huang Xiao steps forward, offering to hold the line with an amplification formation, creating a window for Commander Wang to lead the retreat. The formation activates, a shimmering barrier rising to stall the creature's relentless advance. An elder barks orders at the youngsters. "The 5th line needs you. We veterans will hold the rear." One man tries to convince another to accept the elder's noble sacrifice, reminding him to look at the bigger picture. The elders brace for their final stand, invoking their beast spirits to unleash havoc upon the invaders. The young man bows, a silent farewell to his ancestors and the surging beast spirits. News channels blare. The 7th line has fallen. The 5th line braces for the inevitable impact. The people of the Northwest unite, declaring they will defend the 5th line with their very lives. Everyone prepares for battle, believing brave spirits were sent by the heavens for this very moment. Meanwhile, Nanziying puts the finishing touches on the blazing Skystone project, perfecting his intricate, grand design. Immediately afterward, he begins fully absorbing the immense power sealed within the source stones. A colossal surge of energy erupts, engulfing him completely, crackling with raw power. The system flashes. Source Stone reserves, a staggering 10 trillion. In a parallel sequence, he initiates the Steel Forest project, activating a forbidden gold element spell. Next, Nanziying tempers the molten steel with water, imbuing it with 100,000 forbidden steel element spells. Then, the group moves to a volcanic landscape, commencing the Volcano's Heart project. With a raised hand, he commands ancient lava dragons to awaken and incinerate everything, implanting another 100,000 forbidden lava spells. Soon after, massive lava dragons materialize in the skies before them. A system window pops up, detailing the max-level forbidden spell, Star Origin, the Infinite Annihilator. As they watch the heavens, one of them comments that the technique's power might be too much for even Earth to bear. Nanziying resolves to unleash it only at the most critical moment. He declares only beast taming, spirits, and formations remain. Chu Tian, lead the way. With his hand pressed to the ground, the young man invokes ancestors from ancient eras to awaken. Legendary heroes of Wei, one of China's 3 kingdoms, materialized to suppress the encroaching darkness. Next, the legendary generals of Shu, another of the 3 kingdoms, manifest. Soon after, the formidable warriors of Wu, the 3rd kingdom, also appear. Finally, the spirits of the Song dynasty present themselves ready for battle. Immediately after, the spirits of the Yuan dynasty surge forth, radiating uncontrollable fury. Next, the warriors of the Ming dynasty emerge, poised for a legendary battle. Soon after, the heroes of the Qing dynasty gather, bows drawn, astride their powerful steeds. A system window appears, detailing the ancient heroic spirit summoning ability, now maxed out. He then rallies the honored ancestors, commanding them to prepare to fight on the 5th line of defense. The spirit army charges forward with furious might, while Nan Ziying recites a chilling chant of a king's dominion. Next, he unleashes his beast-taming domain, summoning swarms of venomous insects, then a terrifying horde of equally deadly snakes. He commands all mutant beasts, "Listen to my call, obey without hesitation." The system flashes the details of the era's beast tamer ability, also maxed out. Nan Ziying awakens an ancient power to further amplify the beast tides. Sword held firm, he leads everyone towards the 5th line. Under the extreme exertion, blood streams from his eyes, a testament to his desperate resolve. Chu Tian cries out, warning him he's pushing himself too hard, that he can't possibly continue like this. Even so, he insists he must continue. There's no time to lose. Chu Tian tries to protest, but her words are cut short. Nan Ziying declares that only the formations remain and orders her to take him immediately to the 5th line. At the immense 5th line of defense, he unleashes the Infernal Sword Chi formation, the Purgatory Fire formation, and the Abyssal Thorn formation, one after another. Overlapping layers of lethal, shimmering formations erupt, shielding their homeland with impenetrable might. Next, the system displays the Genesis God Formation Master ability, maxed out. Immediately after, a notification confirms that all 5 supreme abilities have been unified and mastered as one. Instantly, he's enveloped by a violently swirling sphere of pure energy. Then, a colossal pillar of blinding light descends from the heavens, striking the ground with devastating, earth-shattering force. Seeing him engulfed within that terrifying dome of energy, Chu Tian screams Nan Ziying's name. Within that raw, surging power, he roars, his transformation reaching its terrifying completion. From a terrace overlooking the city, Sun Li announces they've returned. Nan Ziying greets them, saying they're just in time, as little Chu Tian rushes over, calling him brother. He comforts her, praising her efforts. When a younger companion notices Nan Ziying's hair has turned white, the boy asks what happened, and Nan Ziying explains it's the toll of preparing for battle. Sun Li then wonders if this means he's finally ready to reveal his full power. Nan Ziying confirms it. Moments later, news reports flash across screens. Alien forces have breached the last lines of defense worldwide. Before a massive assembly of soldiers, Nan Ziying declares he has a critical announcement before the final showdown. On a colossal screen, his voice booms, revealing that he is all 5 divine-level prodigies of the Northwest. The crowd erupts in disbelief, wondering who's spreading such outrageous lies. Then, Nan Ziying steps forward, confirming it's true, and orders the elderly, children, and wounded to evacuate, only to join the fight if their defenses crumble. Elsewhere, a group of survivors reacts, one muttering, "I always knew Chief Nan was our savior." Nan Ziying then explains their entire military might is concentrated on the 5th line of defense, yet he grimly admits their current preparations aren't enough for victory. So, he reveals his daring plan. He's forming a suicide squad of psychics to breach the Void Gate and launch a desperate counteroffensive. First to step up is 9-year-old Chu Tian, a divine-level spatial psychic, declaring it's her responsibility to find a resting place for Nan Ziying. Then, Chu Xinghe, the 23-year-old Chu clan prodigy, volunteers for the suicide squad. Su Chengji, a 25-year-old puppet master, offers his services next, boasting he can curse some aliens to death. 18-year-old plant spirit summoners Qin Sui and Qin Ying announce they're ready to fight. Lan Changkong, a 23-year-old water psychic, rides in on a colossal wave, telling Nan Ziying, "Don't blame me this time." Zhang Yuan, cruising in on a motorcycle, volunteers to handle supplies with her culinary skills, slyly reminding him of an old debt. Nan Ziying grins, saying he's thrilled to have her. A car screeches to a halt, and Su Leng, a perception psychic, steps out, apologizing for her past harsh words. Finally, Chen Kaer volunteers, explaining her ability to rewind time by 15 seconds is crucial for reconnaissance. Nan Zishan approaches his brother, revealing their father didn't want him going alone and that he's recently awakened powerful battlefield healing abilities. Just then, Chen Lianyi and Su Sishan arrive, insisting one healer isn't enough and asking asking for a chance to atone for past conflicts. Seeing his growing team, Nan Ziying offers a heartfelt thanks. With the group complete, he officially declares the formation of the counteroffensive Suicide Squad. Moments later, alien invaders blot out the sky. A thunderous voice echoes, "Prepare for battle!" Ancient formations and forbidden spells ignite, unleashed upon the invaders. Waves of monstrous beasts surge forward, while an army of undead spirits rides fearlessly into the fray. High on the city wall, a soldier roars to the wavering, "Reinforcements are here! There's no escaping now!" Meanwhile, inside the portal, Nan Ziying rallies his squad. "Follow me! We destroy this gate and end their reign of evil once and for all." Upon reaching a small, secluded house, someone immediately asks where they are. Chu-Tian explains it's a pocket dimension she created, where time flows exactly as it does in the outside world, revealing she's christened it the Cozy Cabin. Nan Ziying questions the mission's status, insisting this isn't the time to settle down, but Sun Li snaps back, demanding to know how long a human can go without food, water, or sleep. Another team member points out Nan Ziying's visible tension, noting his hair has turned white from the sheer stress of days without rest. Everyone is urged to seize this moment because, even on the brink of the apocalypse, adults can't let the children down. Lan Changkong beams, exclaiming that this place is literally his dream home. The group watches his excitement, one woman remarking that his giddiness somehow makes the others look even more masculine by comparison. Nan Ziying asks the Chin brothers if they aren't curious about anything, but they both declare they've sworn to follow their benefactor to the very end. As they step inside, someone mutters that the brothers truly live up to their reputation as summoners. Sun Li halts abruptly at the entrance, a look of utter surprise plastered on his face. The rest of the group crowds behind him. Lan Changkong gulps, wondering if his dream home has somehow become a nightmare, as Chu Tian cheerfully explains that she designed it for her little sister. The main room is filled with beds that look suspiciously like coffins. Someone muses that the style evokes childhood memories, while the camera focuses on portraits hanging on the wall. Chu Tian beams, delighted everyone likes it. Sun Li, however, asks how she knew exactly what to do. Chu Xingyi suggests it's about embracing life through death, but the girl shrugs it off, explaining there's nothing profound about it, just early preparation. Sun Li, still a bit unnerved, collapses onto one of the beds, declaring he's out cold. Despite the unsettling appearance, he admits it's surprisingly comfortable once he closes his eyes. In the kitchen, Zhang Yuan starts prepping a meal, announcing it will be a true feast, for it might just be their last together. Qin Sui delivers a basket of fresh vegetables, leading Zhang Yuan to ask why they're planting instead of simply conjuring food. The girl explains that her brother believes vegetables need to grow in the earth to forge a connection with the soil. Zhang Yuan, a no-nonsense cook, shoves her out of the kitchen, telling her not to talk like that, and warning that the smoke is bad for her eyes. In the pharmacy, Chen Lianyi and Su Sishan decide to focus on brewing potions for battle enhancement, healing, and resilience. Meanwhile, Nan Zishan settles into the healing room, noting that the stark white bedding makes Chu Tian's peculiar ideas abundantly clear. Outside, a teleportation formation hums to life, establishing a reconnaissance point 30 kilometers from the dreaded vacuum gate. Chen Keir asks Chu Tian why she doesn't just create a new Earth. Without missing a beat, the little girl retorts, asking why Chen Keir has such a flat chest. Stunned by the immediate backlash, Zhang Yuan quickly intervenes, calming the agitated Chen Keir and explaining that Chu Tian is just a child speaking her mind. Chu Tian then reveals that creating this cabin cost her 50 years of her life, and she might not even live long enough to develop breasts. Deeply embarrassed, Chen Keir apologizes, while Chu Tian secretly thinks to herself, adults are so easy to fool. Soon after, Zhang Yuan announces the soup is ready, explaining she prepared a little bit of everything for the group's meal. As everyone gathers, Nan Ziying attempts to discuss their plan, but Zhang Yuan insists he eats first. Chu Xingyi then takes the lead, detailing that both the front and back portals are active, with the front one leading back to their defensive line. He assigns Su Leng and Chen Keir to the reconnaissance point, while the others remain in the cabin to manage logistics. Nan Ziying agrees with the arrangements. However, Nan Zishan objects to her assigned role, asserting she can provide direct support on the battlefield. Chu Tian quickly interjects, promising to guarantee her safety. Nan Zishan implores her brother not to hold back just because she's his sister. After a moment's hesitation, he relents, allowing her to join the front line. Chu Xingyi then instructs everyone to finish their meal, rest for 3 hours, and prepare for departure. Elsewhere, Chen Lianyi and Su Sishan accept the decision, remarking that they'd only be dead weight on the front lines. The group eats animatedly, making requests and playfully teasing each other about their ages and preferences. The banter continues outside, with more playful jabs about one person's age and another's culinary choices. Meanwhile, a cube-shaped object floats ominously in the air, enveloped by a swirling vortex of energy. At the reconnaissance point, Su Leng and Chen Kaer detect a staggering 1 million awakened signatures on the other side of the vacuum gate. Standing before the imposing structure, the group is informed that 1 million Buddhas await them beyond it. The decision is made: eliminate the guardians first. Chu Tian positions herself to open the portal. After everyone confirms they're ready, she receives the order to activate it. A colossal golden entity looms, addressing Nan Ziying, declaring it had been waiting for him and advising surrender, for the aliens are the true gods. Losing his patience, Sun Li snarls, telling the creature to shut its mouth, calling it a clown, and threatening to sew its lips shut. The squad charges into combat. Someone remarks that using Buddha's name for such evil is utterly repugnant. The entity roars that they leave no choice, and they will be forcibly enlightened as an ancient monk begins to chant. Moments later, the golden creature unleashes a devastating top-down attack. In response, Nan Ziying prepares his own earth-shattering blow, proclaiming that gods will fall and Buddhas will be shattered. Nan Ziying's attack smashes into the golden entity, completely shattering it, but just as quickly it reforms itself, declaring that its golden Buddha body is immortal and indestructible. Seeing this, Chu Xingye summons a powerful shield to defend himself. As the barrier withstands the relentless assault, he realizes the enemy's combined power is overwhelming, and they're trying to wear them down slowly. Nan Ziying barks that they can't afford a war of attrition. They need to break this formation now. In response, the enemy unleashes a devastating attack, merging 10,000 fists into one colossal strike. Back at the observation point, one of the girls scoffs. They're underestimating Nan Ziying. Getting close to that attack will be a walk in the park for him. Without a moment's hesitation, Nan Ziying bellows Chu Tian's name, and she responds instantly. She teleports the entire group straight into the heart of the enemy's attack. They all reappear, surrounded by the swirling fists. Then, in a flash, they're teleported again, materializing directly above the golden entity. Nan Ziying and the others prepare to unleash a devastating cursed strike. Sensing the immense danger, the old monk screams for everyone to protect themselves with a mantra, but it's too late. The attack slams into the monks and the entity, causing massive destruction. Nan Ziying barks orders. 4 of them are to handle the protectors while he takes on the leader. Sun Li immediately agrees to the strategy. Qin Ying asks, "Tough brothers refers to us, right?" Su Changge activates his puppet wire arena, brazenly challenging the old monk to use his dirty tricks. Protector Viger retorts that his mouth needs a good scrubbing, but Su Changge just grins and dares him to try. Chu Xingyi confronts an ancient god-level protector, trapping him within an impenetrable isolation dome. Protector Anup warns them to stop while they still can, declaring that true seekers of the Buddha state must save themselves. Lan Changkong also uses an isolation technique, but instead, he conjures a shimmering screen of water around his foe. Protector Deepak accuses him of going against the flow, but our fighter scoffs at the comparison. The Chin brothers summon a thorny jungle, engulfing their opponent. Protector Raja snarls that he's not in the mood for chatter, to which the brothers retort, "Neither are we." Meanwhile, Nan Ziying commands his fallen warriors to rise and fight for him once more. Immediately, the spectral forms of defeated monks rise from the ground all around him. He points his weapon skyward, roaring for the spirits to annihilate these false Buddhas. The leader's eyes widen in surprise at such power, but Nan Ziying merely glares past him, declaring, "You're next," as the spirits surge forward. The old monk snarls, accusing Nan Ziying of being consumed by greed, anger, and ignorance, the 3 poisons of Buddhism. Nan Ziying is struck by a psychic attack, but only roars back, "Shut your mouth!" Then he unleashes a forbidden sound element spell, creating an absolute deafening silence. Advancing without hesitation, he declares that nothing fuels his hatred more than those who pretend to be gods, and then flips the accusation, calling the monk the true embodiment of greed, anger, and ignorance. As the monk shields himself, he questions, "Who among us is the true Buddha, and who is the real demon?" In response, Nan Ziying unleashes the searing flames of Asura's fury, vowing to tear off his adversary's false divine mask. The monk proclaims that this blasphemer has forced him to reveal his true Dharma form. Nan Ziying scoffs, "Was that form granted by your alien masters? How weak is your practice if it depends so much on mere appearances? The monk then declares himself the reincarnation of Tathagata, only for Nanziying to instantly brand him a demon. The monk then declares Nanziying overflowing with sin, destined to be cast into the Avicii hell of the 6 paths of reincarnation. Without missing a beat, Nanziying retorts, "I already live in that hell." He vows to show the monk what a real hell looks like, then activates the 5-element infernal formation. The monk's supposed divine level formation shatters, leaving him utterly incredulous at how easily it was destroyed. Nanziying sneers, "You're no god. Your formation is a joke, and now, it's my turn." As the monk frantically tries to dodge with a defensive technique, he's slammed by Asura's molten rock. He manages to raise a shield, but is instantly crushed by Asura's frozen ice. Giving no quarter, Nanziying activates the golden lock formation, trapping his opponent completely. The monk is engulfed in chains, desperately begging his alien gods to save him. Suddenly, he vanishes. Nanziying immediately suspects the intervention of an S-class alien. Just then, a desperate cry for help echoes, and Nanziying instantly recognizes his father's voice. The monk reappears, now clutching Nanziying's father as a hostage, demanding his surrender in exchange for his dad's life. An enemy unleashes a parasite purging attack, but the Chin brothers defend themselves with a root shield. As the impact slams into their barrier, they realize the hostage is their benefactor's father. The blow still reaches them, prompting Chu Tian to prepare for an emergency teleport. Without a moment's thought, she instantly teleports Nanziying's father and his captor to safety. They reappear beside Nan Zishan, who immediately starts healing them. Meanwhile, Chu Tian opts to hold back the protector. The girl uses spatial teleportation to trap their attacker inside a shimmering cube. The enemy struggles to break free, exclaiming he has no time for such games. Chu Tian merely sends him hurtling far away, while elsewhere the intense battle against the golden entity rages on. Chu Xinghe barks orders, telling everyone to stay focused on the fight and put their trust in Nanziying. Su Chang'e, meanwhile, expertly manipulates the golden entity with his threads, scoffing that he won't be distracted by some petty demon. He then brazenly taunts his opponent's divine whip, asking why it's so ridiculously short. The protector snarls, calling him insolent for insulting a sacred artifact. Immediately after, the monk unleashes a terrifying divine punishment, but Lan Changkong stands ready to meet it head-on. Lan Changkong boldly declares it's nothing but mere fire and poison before unleashing his boundless ocean. The monk, still holding the hostage, sneers, pressing his blade against the man's throat. "Don't you fear I'll kill him?" he taunts. He threatens to end the hostage's life if Nanziying doesn't kneel, but the young man calmly asks his father if he truly wishes for such a sacrifice to save him. The father defiantly responds yes, then challenges his son. "Do you intend to just stand there and watch me die?" Chu Tian offers to teleport the hostage, but Nanziying refuses, instead asking her to get him as close as possible. As he draws near, the monk snarls a warning, "Don't try any tricks!" Yet Nanziying attacks regardless, scoffing that the only trick he's playing is saving his dear father. The alien easily dodges, demanding to know the reason for the attack. Nanziying retorts that it had seriously underestimated his old man. The creature, sensing Nanziying's apparent indifference, questions him, but Nanziying shoots back that a species devoid of emotions could never grasp what it truly means to be human. The being offers one last chance to join them, but Nanziying's refusal is immediate and met with a deadly lunge. The alien snarls, calling him a stubborn insect, and prepares to unleash its cruelest methods. But Nanziying strikes first, connecting with a powerful lava slash. Nanziying then asserts that the alien's power is nothing but an illusion, with both weak offense and defense. He declares his true obsession is to utterly exterminate them. The enemy relentlessly insists that Nanziying cares nothing for his own father's life, and this time, the threat is very real. Suddenly, a memory flashes, his father arriving home with his mother, deciding to name their newborn son Nanziying. Another memory follows, a young Nanziying crying to his father about bullies, afraid because they were bigger and outnumbered him. Then, a different memory. His father scolds him for feeling fear, advising him to always fight back, even if he couldn't win. Moments later, a younger Nanziying is seen savagely beating one of the boys, who screams for help while the others call him crazy. Watching from a distance, his father states that after this, they would never dare bully him again for the rest of his life. Years later, a grown Nanziying asks his wounded father how he got so badly hurt. The man simply replies that the battlefield is a brutal place. Back in the present, Nanziying confronts the alien, demanding to know how it knows all of this. The creature smirks, revealing it extracted those memories directly from his father's mind, adding that with its own power, killing him would be effortless. Just then, Nanziying's true father appears, gravely wounded. The alien quickly asserts it wasn't responsible for the injuries, claiming it actually saved him on the defense lines. It then declares it's now the father's turn to return the favor, causing him to scream in agony. A chilling message from the 5th Defense Line Command blares, "Lord Nan Xiangshan has been reported missing in action." Hearing this grim confirmation, Nan Ziying simply responds, "Understood." The alien gloats, announcing it has completely merged with Nan Ziying's father's blood, and taunts him, asking if he truly has the guts to kill him now. Mockingly, it declares that insects are weak creatures, forever bound by their emotions as it prepares to make its escape. The golden entity then attempts an earth escape art. Nan Ziying confronts it, desperately asking his father what he should do. To the alien's shock, his father's consciousness suddenly screams, begging Nan Ziying to save him. Enraged by this unexpected resilience, the being snarls, demanding they stop playing games, and unleashes a forbidden lava spell. The golden figure is engulfed in searing flames, questioning why this is happening. Finally, the alien understands. Nan Ziying knew who the real father was all along. It ponders, what kind of existence are these humans after all? Amidst the roaring flames, Nan Ziying's father tells the alien that it would never understand, but that's precisely why humanity endures. He bids farewell, promising to wait for their next encounter, while Nan Ziying whispers apologies. On his knees, Nan Ziying swears that day will surely come. He then pleads with his father to rest, vowing to bring him home for a good meal once all this mess is sorted. Meanwhile, the rest of the group struggles against the parasites. The siblings apologize for holding everyone back. Nan Zishan explains that the decision was made by her brother and their father, admitting it's hard to control her emotions. Chu Tian suggests bringing their father back, but is told it's likely for the same reason he didn't revive the others. Her sister clarifies that his wish is for everyone to rest in peace, and on the battlefield, even the undead can die again. Little Chu Tian whines that these bugs are just too tough to kill. Seeing this, the Qin siblings offer to try, charging straight into the parasitic horde. Just then, Protector Raja returns, demanding to know what they've done to his Dharma body. Nan Ziying, regaining his composure, tells a companion they need to clean up their own mess and the entire battlefield. Choosing, he explains to one of the monks that the Dharma body was merely an illusion created by the now dead alien. Lan Changkong attacks his opponent, mocking how cowardly he's become after losing his Dharma body. Su Changge traps his adversary, explaining that they were all duped by illusions, forgetting their true potential and acting like complete idiots. Xu Xinghe pierces his enemy with a precise strike. Then, Lan Changkong freezes his opponent solid, while Su Changge carves up the last protector. Finally, Nan Ziying unleashes a devastating tornado, declaring he will cleanse this battlefield once and for all. The group watches the Qin siblings, with Chu Xinghe stating they don't need help. They must grow on their own. The last enemy tries to flee, but the siblings block his escape. Desperate, he unleashes a swarm of seashell parasites. However, Qin Ying casts a reverse parasitism spell. Seeds burst from the parasites, completely turning the attack back on him. The man ends up trapped by metallic thorns, utterly immobilized. He whimpers, wondering why Buddha didn't come to save him. The siblings simply explain that Buddha only helps those who help themselves. Nan Ziying then addresses the spirits of the fallen monks, offering them a chance at redemption on the 5th line of defense. The spirits accept, ascending and departing towards the horizon. Just then, Zhang Yuan emerges from a portal, laden with food, announcing that the sun has risen and it's breakfast time. Su Changge greets her, surprised she's already prepared everything. She simply replies that it's the only thing she's truly good at. Sun Li then tells everyone to grab some grub and asks Chu Tian to teleport Su Ling and Chen Keier over. Meanwhile, Nan Ziying and the others remain silent amidst the wreckage. He turns to Qin Ying, asking her to plant a tree near where his father fell, so he won't lose him again in the future. From a distance, Sun Li and Chu Tian watch the group gathered under the newly planted tree. He then tells her to bring everyone over to eat before the food gets cold. Once gathered, Zhang Yuan hands a meal to Nan Ziying, who thanks her silently. Sun Li also serves him, insisting he needs to eat to keep his strength up. Little Chu Tian sits next to Nan Zishan, offering her own food. Soon, other squad members approach, doing the same and offering their meals to Nan Ziying. He just stares at the full food box before him. One of the guys tells him to stop hesitating and just eat, reminding him there's still work to do afterward. A short while later, Nan Ziying's food box lies empty on the ground. Next, he instructs Su Leng to compile a bestiary of aliens and share it in real time with the 5th line of defense. Immediately after, she reports news of an S-rank alien appearing at the vanguard, causing severe casualties. At that exact moment, the void gate ahead unleashes yet another wave of A-rank aliens. Numerous monstrous creatures erupt from the portal, surging directly towards the group. Faced with this, Nan Ziying orders Chu Tian to return with him to the defense line, leaving the others responsible for eliminating the enemies right here. On the front lines, the 5th defense formation is plunged into absolute chaos. Immediately after, a barrage of aerial attacks begins to pummel the battlefield. Facing the forbidden spells, countless creatures are held back by a single devastating strike. Among them, a multi-armed golem is struck by electrical discharges, while other monsters are hurled away. Meanwhile, amidst the beast tide, humanoid creatures charge head-on against a monster with razor-sharp claws. In the spirit sector, a warrior announces the solitary blade assault, brandishing 18 spears in a single hand. Above the creatures, a vortex-shaped attack begins to coalesce in the sky. Then, the devastating force slams into the ground, obliterating everything in its path. Commander Wang Lei and his soldiers react, utterly baffled by what just transpired. One man screams that he can't see or hear any attackers, bewildered by the assault as his own energy threatens to rupture. Desperate to stay calm, he activates the Crimson Abyss silent breath technique. He swiftly deduces the attack originates from the dark clouds and orders the colossal steel eagles to disperse them. A bat-like winged creature emerges from the clouds, making him wonder if it's yet another alien menace. Analyzing the situation, he realizes these creatures employ an inaudible sonic attack to destabilize internal energy, pushing victims towards self-destruction. Faced with this, an officer commands all espers to retreat to the underground shelters, conserve their strength, and immediately alert Nan Ziying. In a grimy slaughterhouse, a group of men gloats about becoming stronger after awakening necromancy abilities. Suddenly, waves of raw energy reverberate throughout the entire city. The impact slams into civilians, sending them sprawling to the ground. On the 5th defense line, the winged creature clashes directly with an elemental. Nan Ziying recognizes the gravity of the sonic attacks, while his companion frantically searches for a way to shield both the city and their forces. With no other option, he prepares to unleash a forbidden sound element spell, Deep Silence. A barrier spanning 500 kilometers activates, enveloping the entire city. As the attack subsides, Commander Wang Lei recognizes Nan Ziying's intervention and rallies his warriors to return to the fray. Civilians begin to recover, with one suggesting they check the live broadcast from the front line, convinced someone incredibly powerful has emerged. Nan Ziying requests Chu Tian teleport him directly into battle, leaving her in charge of support. Moments later, he materializes in the sky, high above the creature. The enemy swiftly dodges his rapid attack, forcing him to conclude he'll need to use lightning. Meanwhile, an elementalist activates a forbidden wood element spell to secure his position. Nan Ziying then unleashes another forbidden spell, the Lightning Cut. However, the creature easily evades it, making him realize that even his lightning can't match its speed or inflict any harm. In response, the enemy summons darkness to envelop its surroundings. He counterattacks with a forbidden light element spell, scattering the oppressive gloom. Bracing for the next onslaught, he keeps his guard up. The creature then strikes him with a sound nullification spell, making him realize a single forbidden spell won't be enough to block it. So, he begins to multiply the power of the sound element spell. His companion warns him of the attack's insane range, while Nan Ziying calculates he can only accumulate power 4 more times. The soundproof barrier stretches to its absolute limit, threatening to rupture. Despite this, he pushes the barrier to an absurd overload of 3 billion times. Realizing it's still not enough, he asks Chu Tian to find a way to teleport him and the creature far away from the 5th front. At that moment, the enemy dives straight for Chu Tian, intent on attacking her. The sonic attack strikes her directly. At the last second, his companion summons a wooden shield to protect her. The man screams for them to protect Chu Tian and ensure she doesn't leave the soundproof barrier. Nan Ziying then unleashes a forbidden sound nullification spell with an overload of 1 million times. Since conventional attacks have failed, he unleashes sonic interference, turning the creature's own venom against it. He declares that even if he's weak, what truly matters is that the attack works. With that, Nan Ziying unleashes a devastating sonic blast, 100 million times overclocked. The strike lands directly on the creature, crippling its eardrum and proving the technique's effectiveness. The creature hisses, calling him a pathetic insect, and fires a blast directly from its maw. In response, Nan Ziying retaliates with focused sonic waves, also 100 million times overclocked. Struck, the creature screams for its vines to form a protective shield. At this moment, Nan Ziying realizes his remaining source stones are limited, and he needs to win with a single, decisive blow. He concludes that continuously relying on forbidden spells is unsustainable. He then wonders if it would be possible to transform an ordinary voice into a sonic wave attack. With this idea, he uses the forbidden conversion spell to transform his shout into an attack. The creature charges directly into the offensive. Still, the blow lands, though it proves weak. Nan Ziying admits his voice alone isn't enough, but then questions the power of hundreds of millions of Solarians shouting together. A colossal energy surge manifests on the battlefield. His companions watch, and one asks if the battle is lost. Nan Ziying explains that the barrier will only last 10 more seconds and orders the entire city to shout in unison. Through a telepathic broadcast, Commander Wang Lei calls upon all citizens to shout alongside him. He roars, "Cathay will prevail!" The civilians respond with the same powerful war cry. Through the city streets, the clamor echoes among the populace. Soldiers and spirits alike join the chorus, screaming, "Cathay will prevail." Even the beasts on the battlefield roar in response. Nan Ziying then activates an absorption spell to channel the power of these sonic waves. The creature is hit by a focused sonic wave. He then converts that power into a 1,000,000,000 times overclocked attack, manifesting a magnificent energy dragon. The creature tries to react with its own sonic blast, but the dragon surges forward to intercept the enemy's attack. To the sound of the rallying cry, "Cathay will prevail," the energy dragon presses onward. It completely engulfs the enemy. Nan Ziying shouts for the creature to hear the roar of Cathay's dragon and repent its arrogance against humanity. The dragon roars with fury, and the creature responds with its own pained bellow. Nan Ziying informs them that he needs to return to the Void Gate to hold back the advancing army and asks to be notified if another S-rank alien appears. He then turns to Chu Tian, asking if she's alright and if she can teleport him back to the cozy cottage. With great effort, she manifests a portal and confirms she still can. Immediately after, Chu Tian collapses into his arms. Nan Ziying declares he needs to get her medical attention before anything else and dashes toward the portal. Outside the Void Gate, a man activates his domain of annihilation against the creatures. Another combatant, surrounded by serpentine creatures, laments that they aren't even good enough for soup. A young man declares he isn't the same idiot he once was, and at the same time, creates a powerful water vortex. Meanwhile, two other warriors utilize the Inferno of Thorn Whirlwind to strangle one of the beasts. With the battle wrapped, one of them comments that he already burned through breakfast and he's hungry again. Reunited, one of the men wonders how Nan Ziying is doing. Another responds that, on days like this, no news is usually good news. One of them notices that the gate hasn't sent any more A-rank aliens and suggests there might be a teleportation pattern. Given this, he orders Su Leng to record all waves of aliens, tracking the time, type, and rank of every single one that appears. Su Leng confirms the order without hesitation. Suddenly, in the sky, dozens of eyes snap open in the darkness. Su Changge observes the scene and wonders, what in the blazes is that? Back at the secluded cabin, Nan Ziying bursts in, carrying a gravely wounded Chu Tian. One woman immediately calls for her to be laid down, while another rushes off to grab a healing potion. Once administered, the woman explains the dire news. Chu Tian's severe internal injuries mean she won't be able to use her powers for quite some time. Just then, an officer updates Nan Ziying on an S-rank alien threat, but quickly pivots to even graver news. America has fallen. She continues her report, revealing a 1,000,000-strong Esper rebel army, led by an S-rank Reaper, is now advancing on their 5th line of defense. Nan Ziying curses his luck. His source stones are depleted. Without them, and without any spatial transport, there's no way he can get there in time. Su Xiaonan suggests a power-boosting drug, capable of granting a short-term surge of strength. But another woman quickly warns that it drains life force and would be irreversible for someone already in a weakened state. Nan Ziying immediately dismisses the idea. They can't do that to a 9-year-old kid. His only option, he declares, is to summon a falcon and fly there himself. Su Xiaonan apologizes, promising to rack her brain for another solution. Suddenly, Chu Tian sits bolt upright and demands the drug, startling Nan Ziying, who hadn't realized she was awake. He tries to calm her, insisting it was all just a dream, but she scoffs, calling him a terrible liar. Nan Ziying sternly orders her not to be reckless, but the girl retorts that she's already been reckless enough by following him this far. Declaring herself just a reckless kid, she uses her powers to snatch the drug. drug. Nan Ziying watches, horrified, as she swallows it, reminding her that she, more than anyone, knows this is war. Chu Tian reacts almost instantly, writhing on the bed. Panicked, Nan Ziying screams her name as the girl's body convulses. But then, with a calm he couldn't have imagined, she places a hand on his face. She then leaps from the bed, declaring that she's overflowing with an energy she's never felt before, and it would be a complete waste not to use it. Nan Ziying asks if she's truly sure, and her confident reply is chilling. She could teleport Earth right out of orbit without even breaking a sweat. Seeing her conviction, he demands more of the drug for himself. One of the women quickly hands over healing potions to counteract the inevitable side effects, while another offers them some gruel before they depart. Nan Ziying gratefully takes the food, and Chu Tian also manages to wolf down a few bites. Meanwhile, at the vacuum gate, one of the men grimly notes that since Nan Ziying didn't show, the task of taking down the S-class creature falls entirely on them. Su Chang'e wastes no time, summoning his powerful puppets to join the fray. The marionettes surge forward, launching an assault on the grotesque, multi-eyed creature. The entity unleashes a terrifying energy that instantly corrodes one of the puppets down to the bone, forcing them to realize its intensely corrosive nature. Moments later, the insidious energy begins to eat away at the very strings controlling the marionettes. Someone yells to cut the strings, and the group barely breaks free as Su Chang'e apologizes for his momentary lapse. One of them quickly suggests that their priority must be to halt the spread of the corrosion, proposing they use water element abilities. Lan Changkong, seizing the moment, summons a massive water cube from the boundless ocean to imprison the creature. He shouts to seal it, and the vast mass of water instantly solidifies around their enemy. The creature is trapped, violently pushing against the cube's walls, and the group watches, horrified, as the containment barrier barely holds against its immense force. The two brothers quickly conjure a root shield to reinforce the structure, but a comrade warns them it won't last long. Nevertheless, they strain to maintain the shield, bombarded by incessant corrosive projectiles. Chu Xinghe explains that while the water cube is being corroded, it has at least contained the monster. He suggests using fire, but quickly realizes no one present can wield that element directly. Qin Ying then proposes creating flammable plants, while another offers to generate the necessary sparks using his sword Shi. Massive, explosive plants quickly sprout around the designated warrior. He positions himself, ready to unleash a devastating clash of sword Qi to generate the spark. The energies collide, creating the perfect ignition. Fire engulfs the creature, but to their horror, it merely splits in two, revealing terrifying regenerative capabilities. The resulting explosion blasts Chu Xinghe backward. Mid-air, he finds himself surrounded by the creature's fragments, then pulled skyward by sinister energy tentacles. Chu Xinghe manages to recover amidst a barrage of projectiles, assuring his comrades he's fine. Qin Ying, however, grimly warns that the rate they can repair the shield simply can't keep up with the relentless corrosion. Chu Xinghe asks Lan Changkong if he can control the rain, but receives a disheartening reply. For now, he can only manipulate the already corroded water. Faced with this grim reality, one of them suggests crossing the corrosive zone to ignite the creature's core directly. Another suddenly remembers the spatial bubbles Nan Zishan left behind. Even without knowing if these bubbles would truly guarantee their safety, the protagonist's sister bravely charges forward inside one, understanding it's the only chance they have left. The spatial bubble slices through the creature's body, and Chu Xinghe announces their defenses are holding strong. His companions cheer, celebrating the maneuver's success. Nan Zishan offers to heal him, but he tells her to focus her holy light on the corrosion, as their shield is about to give way. She conjures a new shield of holy light. The barrier manages to contain the corrosion, but she warns that, with her current power, she can only use it 2 more times. Chu Xinghe asserts that holding back the advance for a few moments, even just twice, will be enough. He then asks her to expand the barrier to protect everyone. Granting his request, she expands the holy light shield. Inside the creature, Chu Xinghe pushes forward as the light carves a path ahead. Moments later, he finally locates the creature's core. Nan Zishan begins to falter, but insists he shouldn't worry about her. A companion warns Su Chang'e to act fast, as the core will regenerate in no time. Hearing this, Su Chang'e commands his puppets to charge forward. The wood element siblings receive orders to implant explosive seeds into the puppets. The puppets surge towards the creature's core. However, as they draw near, they're instantly disintegrated by the core's defenses. Even so, with the seeds now inside, a companion shouts for Chu Xinghe to detonate them. He activates his domain field, creating a clash of sword chi to scatter the sparks. The sparks hit the creature's core directly. The core then explodes from the inside out in a violent detonation. The group rushes into a spatial bubble, just as the entire aquatic cube threatens to explode. The bubble shields them from the shockwave that ripples across the battlefield. Inside, Suchange grumbles, asking how long it's been since any of them took a bath. Nan Zishan replies that her family has always valued cleanliness. Lan Changkong takes offense, retorting that he might look like an old pickle jar, but he certainly doesn't smell like one. Chin Sui then timidly admits the smell might be hers. She explains that her brother told her earth is precious, so she avoided washing herself, leaving him visibly mortified. One of their companions laughs at the situation, asking if they still need to be crammed together now that the danger has passed. Agreeing, Nan Zishan dispels the bubble, and everyone finally spreads out. She comments that there's an earthy fragrance in the air, but it's not the same pungent smell from before. Chin Sui, satisfied, concludes that she doesn't need to take a bath then. Her brother immediately retorts, "I don't think that's what they meant." Lan Changkong and another companion offer for her to sniff them, but she recoils, insisting, "It's not you guys either." Nan Zishan muses, "When you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, no matter how improbable, must be the truth." Chu Xingyi then asks if she still has the strength to heal him. She touches his injured arm and asks, "Does it hurt?" Then she smiles mischievously, adding, "Just kidding. There's plenty of time to take care of that later." Su Chang dramatically shouts that he's in pain and will surely die without treatment. But Nan Zishan retorts, "No one's going to think you're mute just because you stay quiet." Under a nearby tree, he declares his willingness to become a silent guard dog for his brother's happiness, asking the others to return while he remains on watch. Lan Changkong states he'll stay with him, and a colleague praises his unwavering loyalty. Meanwhile, in Antarctica, Chu Tian marvels that it's his first time seeing real penguins. Nan Xing promises that after the war, she'll summon back the spirits of their friends. She then confirms she's capable of both bringing victory and summoning penguins. Standing before Earth's last source stone mine, he affirms that this latest shipment should be enough to sustain the war until their final victory. He extends his hand and begins absorbing the energy contained within the crystals. With the source stones restored, he summons the great legendary warriors of Antarctica to reinforce Cathay's fifth line of defense. Immediately, ancient spirits surge from the ground all around him. Chu Tian asks why he'd summoned spirits from all the lost nations, except for Solaria, and his answer comes with the confession of a surprisingly selfish desire. He then reveals his dream, a world where humanity is finally free from conflict, allowing ordinary people to live in peace. Chu Tian calls him an idealist, and she adds that she really wants to see that day come so she can have lots of penguin friends. He assures her it will happen. Finally, Nan Ziying decides it's time to pay a visit to the Rift Reaper and opens a teleportation portal. Before the Rift Reaper and its army, Nan Ziying casually remarked they'd picked a perfect spot for a graveyard. The creature introduced himself as the Rift Reaper, claiming to be a humble admirer of Nan Ziying's reputation. Taken aback by such politeness, Nan Ziying noted it was the clearest grasp of language he'd ever heard from a monster. The Rift Reaper claimed he could now fully understand Nan Ziying, to which Nan Ziying sarcastically replied he felt flattered. Just then, Captain John America burst onto the scene with his soldiers, proudly declaring that America had made the ideal decision for humanity's future. He then raised his mighty hammer, and together with his troops they bellowed, "Long live America!" Nan Ziying, thoroughly disgusted, scoffed that their flair for drama would be better put to use in Hollywood. Infuriated by Nan Ziying's continued laughter, the captain snared, threatening to smash his face in. The Rift Reaper, eyeing John, told him to fight if he truly wished, stating he needed to witness his worth in combat. As the captain charged, Nan Ziying dismissed him as a mere warm-up and invited everyone to attack simultaneously. Immediately, the captain summoned what he thought was Thor's hammer. Nan Ziying scoffed at the pathetic energy of the attack, asking how he dares to call himself Thor. Then, Nan Ziying summoned his own Thor's dragon, a real one, and asked if his opponent had ever seen a true Cathay dragon. Declaring he'd teach the captain a lesson, Nan Ziying unleashed a forbidden spell, massively amplifying the lightning element. An immense golden lightning dragon manifested in the sky, making the captain shriek in terror, recognizing the creature. The golden dragon lunged, absolutely devouring the paltry lightning dragon summoned by the captain. Captain America stared, dumbfounded at the colossal creature, utterly unable to comprehend such power. Desperately trying to resist, he erected a lightning aegis for protection, but the attack slammed into him anyway, eliciting a scream of utter disbelief. Then, the golden dragon violently slammed him into the ground, crushing him. Chu Tian, observing the aftermath, snidely remarked on the captain's obsession with greatness and the prominent letter stamped on his helmet. The Rift Reaper turned to the remaining soldiers, coldly stating that the captain proved his uselessness in death, and that he wouldn't mind clearing out the rest of the trash. But then, Vice Captain Johnny America stepped forward, rallying the soldiers to avenge their fallen leader and prepare for a suicidal counterattack. Nan Ziying observed that these fools truly had no intention of giving up and declared they'd be the very first to experience his newest technique. He then combined and massively amplified the forbidden spells of Razor Gale and Sonic Wave. The devastating technique slammed directly into the vice captain and his bewildered soldiers. The resulting celestial tremor engulfed them with 8 desolate, soul-shattering howls. Nan Ziying remarked they'd truly dug a fine tomb for themselves and graciously offered to help them find eternal rest. He then manifested a protective earth dragon around himself. The focused convergence of sonic waves slammed into their crumbling bastion. A soldier screamed as his meager earth defense shattered completely around him. The combatant was thrown back, gasping, questioning how one man could possibly master so many powers. Nan Ziying sauntered over to the fallen soldiers, telling them the answer was simple: if they truly wished to be great again. He then initiated an undead summoning, ordering their spirits to rise, fight for Earth, and reinforce Cathay's 5th line of defense. The spectral forms of the fallen soldiers rose from the ground, spirits reanimated, ready to bolster the lines and fight once more in humanity's name. The Rift Reaper, witnessing Nan Ziying's immense power, acknowledged his true value and declared that a grand battle between them was now inevitable. Nan Ziying conceded this was the most cunning alien he'd ever faced, almost finding himself admiring the creature for it. Still, he reminded himself an enemy is an enemy, and commanded his spirits to charge forward in an infernal assault for Earth. The creature then proposed a wager, rapidly spinning in the air with surprising agility. It suggested a battle of wits, with the loser swearing fealty to the victor. Nan Ziying accepted the wager, but swiftly altered the terms. If the Rift Reaper won, Nan Ziying died. But if Nan Ziying won, he'd only accept the creature's service if it could prove its true worth. He then manifested a reverse cyclone to counterattack. The cyclone violently collided with the creature's fiery assault. The Rift Reaper accepted the revised terms without a moment's hesitation, clearly eager for the impending confrontation. Immediately, a relentless barrage of fireballs streaked towards Nan Ziying. He calmly erected an energy barrier, shielding himself from the onslaught. Then, he amplified a glacial formation by a staggering 50 times. His amplified ice attack slammed into the fireballs, triggering a massive, earth-shaking explosion across the entire battlefield. Amidst a series of explosions, the Rift Reaper condenses a massive sphere of attack. The fiery orb hurtles straight towards a glacial barrier erected by Nan Ziying, who declares he'll amplify his ice formation 100-fold. But even as the icy structure rapidly expands, it's violently annihilated by a direct hit. The Rift Reaper scoffs, deeming the formation insufficient, and then calls forth a devastating rain of celestial fire meteors. Seeing the incandescent shower approaching, Nan Ziying realizes there's no other choice. He has to use his ultimate move, something he's never unleashed before. Raising his power, he activates the forbidden spell, Overdrive, initiating Star Genesis to force the meteors to converge. With a cosmic shift, he completely takes control of the attack, ordering all the projectiles to veer away from Earth and return to the cosmos. The Rift Reaper gapes, questioning if Nan Ziying can truly manipulate stars, and why he'd never used such power to protect the planet before. Advancing, Nan Ziying retorts that cyclones, projectiles, and even fire meteors are now utterly useless against him. He challenges the Reaper to show any other tricks it might still possess, then prepares to strike with the Asura Dragon Hunter technique. Nan Ziying deftly dodges the creature's incoming attack, commenting that if he had a choice, he wouldn't be brawling with it. But since the Rift Reaper clearly has no intention of surrendering, their little chat can wait until after the fight. Immediately, he reactivates the forbidden spell, Overdrive, to summon a colossal magma dragon. With a command to advance, the fiery beast lunges at its opponent. The clash between their two immense powers triggers a cataclysmic explosion. Nan Ziying observes that with this move, their forces are now evenly matched. The magma dragon grapples with the Rift Reaper, managing to immobilize it. With the creature pinned, the young hero decides to add the Asura's Infernal Slash to the attack. The Rift Reaper reacts violently, making Nan Ziying wonder if it activated some kind of earthquake ability. Analyzing the situation, he deduces the monster's weak point must be its back, as it made an obvious effort to protect it, while its tail was already restrained by the dragon. Now that he's found the vulnerability, he declares the fight will become simple and begins preparing another forbidden spell. Harnessing the earth element, he invokes the earth's multiple convergence, then gathers energy from the lightning element, and finally unleashes the myriad tribulations of lightning. Pummeled by the successive attacks. The Rift Reaper shouts for him to stop, declaring its surrender. The creature then offers to submit and serve Nan Ziying for life. But Nan Ziying is skeptical. How could he trust an alien, especially one so intelligent? He demands to know how it will prove its worth and loyalty. At that instant, the electrical attack is suspended mid-air. He reminds the creature about its unsatisfactory, descending lightning tribulation, a subtle threat. The Rift Reaper claims to understand his concerns and proposes a gamble, asking Nan Ziying to recall the magma dragon so it can use its own tail. Nan Ziying dismisses the idea of any gamble, stating the creature wouldn't win a rematch anyway, and the monster thanks him for his wisdom. The creature then raises its own tail, revealing its final vulnerability. It explains that these are its descendants, the last seeds for the continuation of its civilization, and entrusts them into his care. Stunned, Nan Ziying questions if he should truly shoulder such a responsibility, and the Rift Reaper confirms unequivocally. Nan Ziying poises his blade, interrogating how he can be sure these descendants aren't some kind of weapon, or if the creature is simply trying to use him to facilitate a greater invasion scheme. Without a word, Nan Ziying slashes the Rift Reaper's back with his blade. Dark liquid gushes from the gaping wound in the creature's body. The Rift Reaper explains it intentionally didn't activate any defenses, allowing the attack to strike it down, and asks if Nan Ziying can trust it now. Nan Ziying replies he only trusts it halfway, but demands to know the reason behind this drastic action. The creature then explains that its race and humanity are, in essence, equal, both having been invaded and pushed to the brink of annihilation. Deep down, it too is an adversary to the true invaders. Nan Ziying challenges the audacity of an invader calling itself an adversary, asking if there are no limits to what it would do just to survive. The Rift Reaper responds that this doubt exists, because Nan Ziying doesn't yet know the truth behind the 10,000 races invasion. It reveals that everything is merely a game orchestrated by a superior civilization called the Celestials, and Earth is just the chosen arena for a pre-dual cleanse. In light of this, Nan Ziying questions if, in their eyes, humans aren't even qualified to participate, merely treated like ants destined to be swatted aside. The Rift Reaper confirms, and Nan Ziying presses him for details about his race and the so-called Celestials invasion. The creature begins, explaining that his people, the Sky Scorpions, once thrived on planet N66, rulers of their world. Millions of years of evolution, wars, and conflicts eventually forged them into a civilization founded on peace and tolerance. But that harmony was short-lived. A Celestial descended upon their planet. The entity demanded they participate in the 10,000 races tournament. Their refusal was met with a brutal, massive assault from its warriors. The cost was catastrophic. A Celestial's power operated on a scale utterly alien to their own. Comrades and kin fell one after another. The Celestial seemed to command all cosmic elements. The entire war lasted less than half an hour. Their defeat was absolute, pushing them to choose annihilation over a life of servitude. As the sole survivor, he was branded a traitor, but he couldn't bear to watch his civilization vanish due to a blind challenge, forcing him into this twisted hunting game. Nan Ziying reels, a whole race wiped out in less than 30 minutes. He asks why the Rift Reaper chose to bet everything on him. The Rift Reaper responds that he sensed an aura within Nan Ziying, disturbingly similar to that of the Celestials. Shocked, Nan Ziying demands to know how that's even possible. The creature explains that while faint, the essence was identical. The elemental control Nan Ziying displayed in battle was unmistakable proof. Nan Ziying then grapples with his past life, his rebirth, wondering if it all ties back to these Celestials and their true, terrifying objective. The Rift Reaper adds that he also sensed something resonating with his own race's civilization within Nan Ziying. That's why he chose submission over death. Nan Ziying asks what value he, the Rift Reaper, could possibly offer. The creature responds, he can obliterate any alien below S rank, and he understands the mechanics of the Void Gate. Nan Ziying sets his conditions. The monster must obey his every command until the war ends. In return, he'll ensure the Rift Reaper's return to his home planet. The creature bows low, expressing profound gratitude. Next, Nan Ziying calls for Chu Tian, announcing it's time to head back. She responds instantly. The young woman is visibly startled to see the monster still alive. Nan Ziying introduces him as Reaver, the newest member of their squad. He then asks her to teleport them back to the Void Gate battlefield, promising a full explanation en route. Chu Tian agrees, activating the spatial teleportation. A shimmering portal tears open before them. Just then, she realizes Reaver is far too massive to be transported in one go. The Rift Reaper apologizes, explaining he can shrink or assume a humanoid form, though it would cost him his combat abilities. Nan Nan Ziying accepts the condition, and Reaver agrees to transform. The creature's colossal body begins to contort, morphing. His silhouette shimmers, twisting into completely alien features. In his new form, the creature asks if this appearance is acceptable. Chu Tian declares that for reasons unknown, she suddenly feels an overwhelming urge to punch something. Nan Ziying, hand pressed to his face, confesses his fists spontaneously clenched too. Given this, Nan Ziying requests Reaver try for a male human form that actually aligns with Earth's aesthetic. The creature's body is once again engulfed in swirling energy as the transformation restarts. In his new appearance, Reaver asks again if this is acceptable. Nan Ziying and Chu Tian stare, utterly dumbfounded. Moments later, they both lunge at him, exasperated, demanding to know how he could so thoroughly misunderstand human aesthetics, why in the hell his tail was in the front. Reaver apologizes, admitting he still has much to learn as his form undergoes further adjustments. Nan Ziying finally concedes, now that's much better. Chu Tian hands him some fabric to cover himself, which he accepts with polite gratitude. Back at the Void Gate battlefield, Lan Changkong remarks to Chu Xinghe that the gate has been eerily quiet for hours. Chu Xinghe agrees, noting the teleports seem to follow a pattern. Suddenly a portal rips open, making Lan Changkong exclaim, "There is a pattern." Both immediately snap into combat stances, yelling to identify the approaching figure. They quickly notice it doesn't look human. Just then, Nan Ziying steps out of the portal, casually introducing his new comrade, an S-rank alien named Reaver. The other two are left utterly flabbergasted. Reaver explains they don't need to stand guard all night. The gate typically only activates at dawn for most aliens. Nan Ziying then asks for the method to close the Void Gate. The creature reveals that each invading race has its own unique passage. Reaver elaborates. They must cross this passage, wipe out the aliens on the other side, and destroy their teleportation hub to permanently halt that race's invasions. Nan Ziying questions if the command center couldn't simply be rebuilt after its destruction. The creature confirms it could be, but clarifies that the game's rules forbid it. Finally, Reaver concludes that once a hub is destroyed, the so-called Celestials simply annihilate that entire race. As the group debates the entity's true nature, and whether they can even hope to defeat it, Nan Ziying cuts through the tension, suggesting they just take it one step at a time. Chu Xinghe proposes shelving that discussion for now, and heading back to the cabin, pointing out there won't be any new attacks until dawn anyway. Chu Tian readily agrees, preparing to teleport them back to regroup with the rest of their companions. Back at the cabin, everyone gathers around a table absolutely loaded with food. Sun Li remarks that he never thought an enemy would ever become an ally. Su Sishan chimes in, saying new friends are always a good thing, and warmly invites Reaver not to hesitate, urging him to make himself at home. Reaver mutters to himself, reminding himself not to hesitate, to truly consider this place his home. Then, without a moment's pause, he lunges forward and devours every single scrap of food on the table in a single ravenous instant. With his face smeared in grease, he innocently asks if he was too polite, and if perhaps he could get another plate. As the others promptly dogpile Reaver, Su Sishan just shrugs, commenting that their culture is vast, and he clearly still has much to learn. The chaos quickly culminates with Reaver being unceremoniously yeeted out of the house. Lying bruised outside, he laments that if he'd only known, he would have just asked for 10 tables of food right off the bat. Faced with this culinary catastrophe, the group decides there's no choice but to start cooking all over again. This time, a proper barbecue feast. Qin Ying and Qin Sui waste no time, using their powers to instantly plant and harvest fresh vegetables. Lan Changkong then uses his power to wash all the ingredients clean in a single go. Next up, Chu Xinghe and Sun Li team up, deftly slicing and dicing the vegetables. And for the main event, Nan Ziying takes charge, roasting a whole pig's head to perfection, using his raw electrical power. Reaver watches every move with laser focus, utterly determined not to mess up this time. Nan Ziying sternly warns him to, at least, wait until everyone else has eaten before pouncing on the leftovers. Once everyone is settled, Nan Ziying announces their grand plan. They'll be entering the Void Gate tomorrow. He then immediately assigns Reaver the crucial task of eliminating any creatures that emerge from it. When someone asks how they'll handle another S-rank alien threat, Suchanga's chilling suggestion is to utilize the countless bodies still scattered outside, with Reaver's unique assistance. Someone quickly pipes up, protesting his rather gruesome choice of words, but Suchange simply shrugs, confident his point was made. Meanwhile, Su Leng and Chen Kier ask for permission to head straight to the battlefield for some intense training. They argue that now, armed with knowledge of the enemy's patterns, they can evolve even faster. Nan Ziying readily agrees, integrating them into Suchange's combat group, while he, Chu Tian, and the main party prepare for direct entry into the gate. Zhuge Yuan then shrewdly suggests that everyone share the hard-won lessons from the past 2 days of grueling battles. The group dives into a serious debate, brainstorming ways to refine their techniques, concoct deadlier poisons, evolve their elemental systems, and forge even more potent healing items. The very next day, on the desolate battlefield, the Void Gate rips open, unleashing a terrifying horde of alien creatures. Nan Ziying barks orders for everyone to brace for combat, then tells Chu Tian to teleport them straight into the fray. Chu Tian activates her spatial link, initiating the jump. A shimmering portal tears open, and she gestures for everyone to follow, ready to invade whatever lies beyond. The group arrives at their destination, disoriented and reeling from intense dizziness. Nan Ziying quickly instructs them to stay calm and harmonize their breathing. As they take in their surroundings, they notice multiple shimmering portals, quickly realizing that the rank of the alien races within is dictated by the depth of each passage. Given this critical insight, Nan Ziying decides they'll start with a low-ranking race's passage just to gauge the situation. As soon as they step through, they're struck by how utterly different the environment is from the outside world, clearly terraformed to suit the alien race of this particular realm. Nearby, 2 guards idly chat, commenting that their planet's main forces are set to arrive the very next day. Suddenly, the gate right behind them is violently shattered. The group emerges from the swirling dust and debris right where the gate once stood. Ahead, they spot a massive city built entirely of stone, instantly concluding that the teleportation axis must be located somewhere deep inside. A squad of enemy warriors charges forward, bellowing about ants invading their territory and demanding their immediate extermination. Nan Ziying doesn't hesitate. He prepares to unleash a devastating assault, activating the forbidden spell, Windblade Overlay. An enormous swirling whirlwind of razor-sharp blades erupts from his movements. Moments later, the entire stone city is engulfed in a devastating sequence of explosions. A terrifying message flashes. Game over for Jin Shiking as their entire planet explodes into cosmic dust. His utterly stunned companions can only gape, wondering if they made a colossal mistake even coming here, witnessing an entire world obliterated with a single attack. Amidst the destruction, Nan Ziying notices something peculiar. His source stone wasn't consumed. He quickly deduces that the sheer energy of the Void Gate must have somehow nullified that requirement. However, his relief is short-lived as a strange, ominous mark begins to inexplicably form on his hand. He wonders if the mysterious mark is the price for using his powers within the gate, and what the ultimate cost will be. Zhuge Yuan notices something is off and asks what's wrong, but Nan Ziying simply brushes him off, urging the group to move faster. The sooner they shut down the teleportation axis, the safer Huaxia will be. Zhuge Yuan observes his strange expression, but decides to save his questions for their return. Nan Ziying instructs each member to enter a different gate to handle their assigned enemies, while he takes responsibility for the S-rank threats. Advancing, he approaches an area where the portals pulse with greater intensity, concluding that this must be where the S-rank alien races are emerging. He keenly observes the patterns on the portals, wondering if only ranks above S receive such unique designs. He recognizes the familiar bat symbol of an S-rank race he's encountered on the battlefield before. However, the Rift Reaper's pattern is faint, making him wonder if the race is extinct, with only Reaver left. Determined, he dashes towards one of the portals, ready to eliminate those familiar faces first. As he bursts through the passage, he questions if any residual mental power lingers in this place. While moving forward, he reflects on the gate being one way, and why the entity doesn't unleash all races simultaneously. He also can't shake the unsettling thought, is this divine entity doing all of this just for its twisted amusement? Meanwhile, in another desolate landscape, various grotesque creatures march in a disciplined line towards a portal. 2 of them chatter excitedly, commenting that today is teleportation day. One reassures the other, boasting about how easily they'll crush the inferior races awaiting them. Nan Ziying smashes through the passage just as the portal shatters behind him. The alien creatures are utterly bewildered by his untimely arrival. It wasn't the designated time for teleports yet. They frantically wonder if this is a counterattack from the ants, but Nan Ziying advances without a hint of hesitation. Their leader immediately barks orders, prepare for battle, and launch a full-scale mental assault. Nan Ziying realizes this is an incredibly powerful, collective mental attack. Faced with the onslaught, he concentrates, raising a full-force mental defense. Suddenly, 2 creatures join forces, launching a seductive illusion while the others offer support. 2 alluring female figures materialize, inviting him to relax as they begin to massage his tense muscles. They whisper sweet nothings, urging him to surrender to pleasure and forget the fight, the pain, everything. For a fleeting instant, he seems to yield, murmuring, "I will." But then, his eyes snap open, and he completes his sentence with a snarl. "I will curse your ancestors!" He lashes out, striking one of the illusory figures. Nan Ziying scoffs. "How utterly you underestimate the human race, resorting to such simplistic tricks." The creature reels, realizing their intelligence was gravely flawed and their attack has failed. The alien then tries to establish a direct thought link, but Nan Ziying immediately severs the connection. "Don't even dream about it," he growls. Raising his weapon, he declares, "All of you, die!" The alien leader, in turn, realizes with a jolt that they've finally encountered someone truly important. In a desperate move, the creatures transform, morphing into the appearances of Nan Ziying's own companions. But Nan Ziying merely scoffs at their idiocy for thinking such a shallow trick would work against him. Then, he unleashes his devastating attack. Hell on Earth. The creatures are instantly engulfed by the technique's overwhelming power. With a single, decisive movement of his blade, he commands them all to vanish from the face of the earth. Muttering to himself, he observes, "That was much easier than last time." He immediately prepares for his next challenge, the Sonic Bat King. The enemy retaliates with a focused sonic wave, but a majestic dragon spirit erupts to intercept the blow. The resonant dragon roar completely repels the adversary's attack. After the ensuing explosion, Nan Ziying declares, "The fight is over." Moments later, he feels the mysterious mark on his hand reappear. He deduces that this mark is the price for bypassing the use of source stones. Even with his current insufficient supply, winning the war remains the absolute priority. He steels himself, ready to face the next threat, the specter of decadence. Meanwhile, Chu Tian floats, safely nestled within a protective bubble in the passage between portals. She observes everyone's progress, lamenting that she didn't bring any grilled eggplant to distract herself, as she currently has no active role to play. Suddenly, a massive explosion of fire erupts directly in front of her protective sphere. Startled, Chu Tian spots an alien and realizes, to her horror, that she can't move. In the very next instant, a gigantic dragon bursts forth, roaring with incredible force. The dragon lunges to devour Chu Tian, who screams for dear life. Nan Ziying, shouting her name, charges the monstrous creature. He swiftly prepares a forbidden thunder spell, trapping the beast in a devastating thunder desolation prison, then urgently commands Qin Ying and Qin Sui to rescue the girl. As a mysterious figure dashes toward one of the portals, Qin Ying and Qin Sui quickly arrive on the scene. Qin Sui cradles Chu Tian in his arms, the siblings comforting her. Qin Ying notes, "She's still just a kid, even if she is the eldest among us." But Chu Tian scoffs, denying any fear. "Why would I be scared if you aren't?" A massive lightning bolt strikes the dragon head-on, but the thunder attack soon dissipates, and its spatial prison shatters. Nan Ziying realizes the beast is escaping, and immediately telepathically alerts Su Chang'e. Meanwhile, at the fort gate, the Rift Reaper unleashes a devastating volley of celestial fire meteors, triggering a chain of explosions that decimate the enemy ranks. The group murmurs, "His S-rank isn't just hype. He absolutely crushes anything below him." The Reaper transforms back to his original form, boasting, "Just a little warm-up." His allies scoff. "Keep fighting, don't get cocky." He sheepishly apologizes. Nan Ziying telepathically warns Su Chang'e. An S-rank sky dragon is inbound, wielding a breath that can freeze time and space. Su Chang'e acknowledges the grim message just as the creature lunges, unleashing its devastating attack. The Rift Reaper is warned to watch out for the dragon's breath, but the beast, roaring "Traitor," releases its freezing blast, and the Reaper realizes it's already too late. Su Chang'e tries to activate his celestial puppet threads, but finds himself utterly immobilized. Undeterred, he somehow manages to weave a celestial net, attempting to ensnare the dragon and sever its contract. But the dragon simply lets loose another icy breath, and Su Chang'e gasps. Even his legendary puppet threads are frozen solid, rendering him completely powerless. Determined to save the Rift Reaper, one of their companions slams an attack into the ground to shatter his icy prison. The impact frees the Reaper, but Su Chang'e roars his name in concern. Su Ling quickly unleashes her sacred light healing, mending his wounds. Su Chang'e glares at the dragon, declaring, "The Rift Reaper is my ally now. You want him? You'll have to go through me first." A surge of emotion washes over the Reaper. He murmurs, "Comrades." Su Ling, ever pragmatic, scolds him, "Stop whining about such a tiny scratch." Chen Kier shouts a warning to Su Chang'e, "Watch out for that incoming breath. Its time and space freezing lasts for 10 seconds. Su Chang'e scoffs, "Paralysis arts? My ancestors were playing with tricks like that when your entire dragon race was still in an egg." The dragon roars, charging him and calling him a fool, but Su Chang'e simply unleashes an entire army of puppets. As the puppets morph into fierce forms, Chen Keier warns everyone, "Careful of their claws!" The dragon is battered by a flurry of piercing strikes, but it retaliates fiercely, swinging its massive tail and slamming directly into Su Chang'e. Realizing their communication is too slow, Chen Keier decides it's time for a new tactic. Just then, Su Leng activates their perception link, sharing senses across the entire team. Immediately, Chen Keier unleashes the full power of her Eye of Prediction, shouting, "I can only hold this for 10 seconds." Seizing the moment, Su Chang'e commands the Rift Reaper to provide cover. The Reaper responds instantly, launching another barrage of celestial fire meteors. Simultaneously, the dragon unleashes its devastating freezing breath, but Su Chang'e, capitalizing on the opening, lunges forward, striking with his celestial net and commanding it to rip the monstrous foe to shreds. Su Chang'e unleashed his celestial net, commanding it to obliterate the creature. He yanked the threads with all his might, roaring for the dragon to be torn to shreds. The beast fought back, a dangerous energy brewing in its maw. Su Chang'e, noticing the reverse scale on its forehead granted regeneration, started predicting its every move. The dragon tried to unleash its power, but Su Chang'e stopped it at the very last second. With the threads taut, he ripped the reverse scale from the creature's forehead, vowing to turn it into a mere worm. Holding the scale in his hand, he declared it his. The dragon's body began to crumble, and Su Chang'e announced the fight was over, but the overwhelming effort took its toll. Su Leng and Chen Keier collapsed, dragging Su Chang'e down with them. He quickly scooped the two young women into his arms, shouting their names, visibly distraught. Reaver rushed over, offering to carry one of them, but Su Ling intervened, assuring them it wasn't necessary. She then conjured a healing dome around the group. Inside the dome, Chen Keier remarked that they were finally no longer a burden to the team. Su Chang'e thanked them for breaking the stalemate, only to be met with the reply that no one here was expendable. He then offered them a vial, explaining it was a rapid recovery medicine created by Chen Lianyi. Su Leng scoffed, saying it was rare to hear kind words from him, while Chen Keier added that she thought a dog's mouth only knew how to bark. Su Chang'e merely stared at her in silent disbelief. The two fully recovered, surprised by the medicine's potency. He then asked what they planned to do now that their strength was restored. With a grin, Su Chang'e declared he was going to escape the girl who complained about his too kind words, then swept her into his arms. Su Leng watched them leave, commenting on how incredibly childish they both were. Reaver added that the scene reminded him of his own childhood, chasing sunsets on his home planet. Meanwhile, Qin Ying and Qin Sui geared up to test their new techniques on the final teleportation axis. Qin Sui first conjured the abyssal wood, then unleashed the sky pillar tomb seal. Without missing a beat, Qin Ying prepared his assault, striking with the earth root annihilation, causing the structure to violently collapse. The siblings' combined attack triggered a series of consecutive explosions. Qin Sui commented that the destructive power of their new technique was incredibly satisfying. Qin Ying credited Su Chang'e with the idea, agreeing. She noted her brother's strength had grown, and he confirmed it, explaining it was due to the higher spiritual energy density in the area. Qin Ying declared that once they were done here, they'd head to the Rank A area, but not before recovering their strength and taking the opportunity to develop even more new techniques. Elsewhere, Lan Changkong faced off against a formidable fire elemental creature. He deployed a specialized freezing agent, an attack that instantly froze the flames, leaving shimmering ice crystals suspended in the air. Next, he launched a barrage of ice spikes straight at the enemy, hitting the creature squarely with the frigid projectiles. Without hesitation, he then targeted the teleportation axis directly. Lan Changkong mused on how incredibly useful the freezing agent he got from Su Xiaonan was, allowing him to truly act as a dual master of both water and ice. In yet another location, Chu Xinghe activated his sword aura domain. He quickly realized that facing these enemies one by one was a complete waste of time. Going straight for the target would be far more efficient. The Guardians surged forward to protect the tower, launching a coordinated assault against him. For a split second, he wondered if he'd been discovered. Then, Chu Xinghe activated his Mirage Sword Aura domain. Unable to distinguish reality from illusion, the bewildered Guardians attacked everything around them. He smirked, asking, "Who said a domain master has to stay inside their own domain?" Chu Xinghe declared they were defeated by their own limited thinking. Chu Tian reported that their progress was moving swiftly, and after a short break, they would destroy the winged sky dragon's teleportation axis. Nan Ziying declared he would scout ahead to investigate the rank S alien race, warning no one to enter until he gave the signal. He surged forward, unleashing a powerful strike with his weapon, but then he recoiled. Utter surprise plastered across his face at what appeared before his eyes. Chu Xinghe wonders if this swarm of jellyfish-like creatures is even a single entity. Barely dodging a lightning-fast strike, he notes the enemy's incredible reaction speed. He dodges again, questioning if this thing even has a mind. Chu Xinghe charges, blade drawn, unleashing a powerful strike against the monster, but the impact violently repels his hand, sending his sword clattering to the ground and emitting thick, noxious smoke. Leaping back, he realizes the creature isn't just spitting lightning, it's also highly corrosive. Immediately, he orders Chu Tian to deploy a spatial bubble. She instantly complies, activating the ability, and a protective barrier envelops him. Watching the enemy regenerate, Chu Xinghe knows his sword is useless. He needs forbidden formations and spells. He summons an ice formation, stretching out his hand, watching the ice surge forward, wondering if it's enough to freeze the monstrosity. But the ice proves utterly ineffective against this life form. With no other option, he unleashes another forbidden spell, the Raging Flame Dragon. The fiery dragon smashes into the creature, but it only intensifies the venomous mist's toxicity. He watches in horror as the mist begins to disintegrate his protective spatial bubble. Worried, he urges Chu Tian to reinforce the barrier, and she does so without hesitation. Next, he casts another forbidden spell, a focused sound wave. To his shock, the creatures can absorb sound waves too. The enemy then redirects his own attack right back at them. Fearing Chu Tian can't hold on much longer, he must figure out the creature's pattern and end this fast. With a new plan, he decides to use the enemy's own magic against it, unleashing the 3000 Lightning Tribulation spell. All the lightning is absorbed without a hitch. Facing utter failure, he tries to detonate the absorbed energy from the inside out. The creatures don't explode. Instead, they seem to grow even stronger. Chu Tian warns him, the venom's corrosion is too strong. She can't maintain the barrier much longer. Meanwhile, Chu Xinghe's arm is suffering from the accumulated recoil of his spells, worsening by the second. He concludes, if a direct push doesn't work, maybe a reverse attraction can destroy the creature. Preparing for one last attempt, he gathers energy for another forbidden spell. Chu Xinghe unleashes a spell that directly extracts the lightning element from the creatures. All the enemy's energy is ripped away, concentrating into his hand. He compresses the power into a dense sphere and asks Chu Tian to coordinate the teleportation. She confirms she's ready. Chu Xinghe takes aim, preparing to hurl the energy sphere. As he launches it, he orders it teleported to the opposite gate, wasting none of its devastating power. Meanwhile, in another location, a draconic creature emerges, declaring it will devour everything to become king. But its celebration is abruptly cut short by something hurtling its way. The creature wonders, what are these ants? The energy sphere slams directly into the creature. Back at the main battlefield, Chu Tian collapses, asserting she can't hold on any longer. Chu Xinghe screams her name just as the barrier shatters. He stares down the monster, realizing the venom is still active, even without the lightning. Faced with this, he conjures a protective cyclone as a forbidden spell. Convinced the same principle of the reverse lightning spell can work with water, he begins extracting the aquatic element. Chu Xinghe unleashes a forbidden spell, ripping the water element directly from the creature. Concentrated, he begins to compress the energy, and the stolen water slowly condenses into a swirling sphere of raw power. The mite stabilizes, firm and formidable in his grasp, and he grins with confidence before launching the water sphere towards the opposing gate. Elsewhere, a monstrous being is suddenly frozen solid by the teleported attack. Next, Chu Xinghe utilizes a forbidden earth element spell, invoking the mighty Grand Earth Burial technique. However, with the continuous use of so many forbidden spells, the curse marks on his body flare up, the burning sensation intensifying. Feeling his energy rapidly depleting and nightfall approaching fast, he rushes to Chu Tian, who is still unconscious. He gently wakes her and offers a healing remedy, urging her to take it so they can finally head home. Chu Tian questions if they truly won, and he simply confirms their triumph with a calm, knowing smile. Through a voice transmission, Chu Xinghe instructs everyone to gather at the passage to return to the cozy cabin. The group celebrates their conquest of the Dragon Wing Lair, joking about finally being done with their shift and demanding overtime pay. Rift Reaver, not missing a beat, sheepishly asks if he should be ashamed to make the same demand. Sun Li chuckles, noting that Rift Reaver has certainly picked up on that Huaxia sense of humor. Su Xiaonan and Chen Lianyi prepare medical supplies, with one asking the other to grab medicine and cotton, wondering aloud how on earth everyone managed to get so banged up in just one day. At the dinner table, Zhang Yuan assures everyone their injuries aren't severe and insists they eat up to aid in recovery. The woman quickly informs Rift Reaver that his meal isn't included in this spread. He quickly replies, understanding his role is simply to sit and contribute to the festive atmosphere. She clarifies that his main course is still outside because the day's hunt was simply too large to fit inside the house. Meanwhile, Lan Changkong brags to Su Changge about single-handedly dispatching 27 A-rank alien species or lower. Su Changge scoffs, reminding him he returned in that state even with group support. A younger companion interrupts their bickering, proudly declaring they actually took down an S-rank creature. Su Changge chuckles, remarking to Lan Changkong that their retriever has finally learned to talk back. One of the young men reports that everyone's abilities have improved, and the battlefront on Daxia's 5th defense line has begun to shrink. A woman advises Nanziying not to push himself so hard. He responds that he'll explain what's needed after they finish eating, so as not to spoil anyone's appetite. Later in the clinic, Nanziying secretly requests they examine the mysterious marks on his body, asking what they know about them. Su Xiaonan speculates they might be some kind of tattoo. Chen Lianyi, however, wonders if they're actually a curse, a consequence of overusing forbidden spells. Nan Zishan confirms her fears. It is indeed a curse. The woman presses on the marks, but he explains there's no pain, only a searing burn that flares up whenever he uses a forbidden spell. A sample of his blood is then collected for analysis. One of the medics asks Nan Zishan to try a sacred light healing technique, and then she and her colleague quickly withdraw. Outside, the others question her about the situation, but she still has no answers. Nan Zishan then uses sacred light purification on Nan Ziying. However, she quickly realizes the technique has no effect on the marks. Undeterred, she decides to apply an enhanced cure. The marks immediately react to the enhanced cure, taking Nan Ziying by surprise. Suddenly, the curse violently retaliates, throwing Nan Zishan across the room. Nan Ziying screams his sister's name. A companion rushes to catch her, calling out to ensure she's all right. He asks if she's okay, and Nan Zishan shakily confirms she is. The marks writhe intensely across Nan Ziying's body, making him wonder if the curse directly reacted to the sacred light. Nan Zishan explains that the curse seems to be a living entity, capable of attacking on its own, something she's never witnessed before. The other two medics return with the analysis results, informing them that the skin tissue shows absolutely no abnormalities beyond simple pigmentation. She's utterly incredulous, questioning how this is even possible after such a violent attack, and suggests it might be some kind of parasite. One of their companions helped support Nan Zishan, as the doctor explained the situation was incredibly bizarre and more tests would be needed. However, Nan Ziying declared he was ready for any outcome. She decided to first try a curse-removing ointment. Nan Ziying felt absolutely nothing, and with the curse showing no signs of receding, he concluded the method was useless. Since gentler approaches failed, they decided to try a folk remedy from Xiaonan, a corrosive alien venom. The young woman warned him it would be as painful as being burned alive and asked if he needed an anesthetic. Nan Ziying scoffed, asking if she was underestimating him, and urged her to just start. The corrosive venom was poured onto his arm. He cried out in excruciating pain. The woman observed that the venom only burned through the flesh, leaving the curse unaffected. This method, too, had utterly failed. Examining the wound, her companion pointed out that the flesh and blood beneath the corroded skin still bore the curse mark. Then, she noticed the mark extended all the way to his bones. Nan Ziying concluded that to remove it completely, he'd need to amputate his entire arm. He quickly abandoned the idea, especially since the curse didn't seem to be causing any immediate harm. Nan Zishan approached and offered to heal the corroded wound. However, as she performed the healing, she realized the mark possessed the ability to regenerate. Nan Ziying then questioned if this wasn't a curse at all, but rather a new ability that strengthened his body's regeneration with each forbidden spell he used. Su Changge, convinced it was all a false alarm, then dismissed everyone. Out in the forest, Qin Sui and Qin Ying put their abilities to work. They conjured a powerful spell, causing a wooden cabin to emerge directly from the earth. The structure structure rose completely from the ground, seamlessly integrating with the surrounding nature. Riftreaver mused that on his home planet, he'd always built for others, but now they were building a home for him. Once finished, the siblings invited him inside to see if he liked it. Qin Ying explained that the house's unique style expressed everyone's feelings for him. The lights flickered on, revealing a projector, a thoughtful gift from Chu Tian. Riftreaver instantly burst into tears, profusely thanking everyone and practically flooding the place with his emotions, while Qin Sui and Qin Ying playfully chided him for his overly dramatic display. Meanwhile, Chu Changxiong and Chu Tian chatted outside the main house. He handed her the custom-made rings she'd requested, each engraved with the wearer's name. Chuden noticed one unique ring and instantly teased her brother about it being for Nan Zishan, accusing him of being smitten. Chu Changxiong just told her to stop acting like an adult and go to bed, and she readily agreed. Then, she used her spatial injection ability on the rings. With these new spatial storage rings, it would be much easier for everyone to carry supplies and collect materials for research. Chu Changxiong agreed, adding that she deserved nothing but the best. Just then, someone called out for Chu Xinghe, and Chu Changxiong quickly bid farewell to Chu Tian to go assist. Su Chang'e revealed that Nan Ziying's blade was broken, but explained he'd brought 3 rare reverse scales from the winged sky dragon to forge a new one. Chu Xinghe approved the material and proposed a hardness test. He would strike it with his sword aura while Su Chang'e controlled the scales. Accepting the challenge, Su Chang'e prepared the scales. Chu Hinghe then unleashed his mighty domain sword aura. The blow struck the scales and Su Chang'e confirmed their excellent hardness. The sword aura simply dissipated upon contact with the scale's energy. Chu Xinghe instantly recognized the winged sky dragon's inherent slowing ability. Realizing the reverse scale carried this potent effect, he concluded the new weapon would be incredibly useful. Immediately afterward, the scale was heated, hammered on the anvil, and quenched in water. Su Chang'e brandished the gleaming new weapon, deemed it incredible, and proudly named it the Reverse Scale Blade. In a dream, Nan Ziying found himself before a colossal ancient tree. He questioned it about its identity and purpose. The tree responded with an enigmatic riddle. "Your past is my present, and my present is your future." Then, the entity urged him onward, declaring he must become it and liberate it. Bound by ethereal chains, Nan Ziying demanded to know what this meant. The tree simply instructed him to press on, affirming that a far grander future awaited him.